From 11 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Don't forget, we're out and about with Tim & Co. in Two's Country in half an hour. Now, prescription-free gardening with the doctors.
This is Whalley Thorns, which is a mining village on the Derbyshire-Nottinghamshire border.
We are members of the environment group. The parish council gave us this land and we decided that we'd like to turn it into a memorial garden.
We all live close together in the village. This is my house, and further up the street in the middle of the far block is where Hazel lives, and then back down across from my house is Elaine's, and here she is.
When we first came, the weeds were higher than us.
Yes, brambles, you name it, it was in there. Well, we found this, which looks like a natural entranceway, really. We found this tar under soot and soil, and just thought this would make an ideal way in. Yeah. We want all year round colour. We don't want it to just be a summer thing. We want variegation, we want nice flowering plants, but we also want shrubs and things to take up a lot of the space because it is a big site. Today we're in Whalley Thorns Primary School, where I am Vice Chair of the Governors. We've used the children's abilities to clear the ground, and we'd like them to be involved with the building of the garden and then the upkeep of it. We aren't professional designers or landscapers. Yes, we've got interests in gardening, but we just didn't know where to start. And there needs to be a link between the two areas. One's a woodland piece and one's very flat. And apart from sloping it away and joining the two sites together, we really hadn't a clue where to start. It was undergrowth from front to back, completely.
Yeah. And you cleared this when? In the autumn?
We started at the beginning of September before the children went back to school.
Right.
To half term,
Had a
yeah.
blitz.
And had a real blitz on it.
Can we have a look around it, see if there's anything that we can
Yeah, we've
get
discovered some flowers.
inspiration from or whatever?
Some daffodils,
Yeah.
I noticed there's what looks like a rose down the side of that wall, so obviously some of it has been gardened at some stage.
Yeah, we think this was the garden to the house and the billiards hall.
Yeah.
Because we found bulbs. Hazel found some roses this morning, and we wondered if we ought to just give them time to shoot through so we can see them properly, and then perhaps dig them up for repositioning later.
Yeah,
It's a shame to lose them, really, isn't it?
You'd need to definitely do quite a big lifting of all this concrete and things if we were going to plant here.
Yeah.
Must be another big session before we did anything. Just to make sure that whenever you were planting something and hit a big lump or something. You've got some nice trees here, haven't you? Good focus. I think what we should do is get a JCB in for a day and shift all this rubble and re-landscape this area. I mean, it would take you a morning to move that around with the JCB, a couple of hours. They're immensely powerful, and then you could create a sort of bowl here that you could then make into a garden that would be distinctly different from this top area, and and give that a feeling of enclosure if you had a different contour.
We looked at this after we'd cleared it and we thought, you know, what on earth can we do with it? Where do you start?
We've got a piece of land which has previously been neglected, which has been taken over by 3 women with a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. What was interesting when I got there was that you can see very easily how this space can be divided up. It's got the road on one side, which of course forms a very definite boundary. It's got quite a nice backdrop of the landscaped slag heaps in the background. What I'd like to do is to try and create 2 distinct separate areas in this garden. And I want to keep this bottom area quite separate from that top area, which we can have as like a play area.
Yes.
With long grass. The second area of the garden, which is this dell, that'll be completely surrounded by plants. And there'll be some tall posts which we'll put along the back just to screen you a bit from this building along the back here. I think one of the things that struck me as being most important here is that there is some sort of division between the garden and the road. I thought we'd put a fence all the way around the outside, up to where the lorry is up there, to stop the kids running on to the road here. And then we'll put a rugosa hedge behind it, so that you'll see that this is a garden because there'll be flowers poking through, and the fence will also stop kids running through the hedge. Within this area, I think it's important to have a couple of features which people can focus on. Kath told me about some stone which is up on the hill behind, which we might be able to use, and perhaps we can make that into some sort of seat.
We had permission from Derbyshire County Council to use the stone. It had been part of a bridge.
If you've got materials like this on site, it's always better than importing stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Making do.
We can make features out of them.
Especially if this is local stone, it's nice to use it.
Yeah.
Maybe make backs to the seat, which could almost look like the slag heaps, and we could plant those sort of mounded backs to the seats, which would just literally be soil with something like chamomile, so they become quite sensual areas to sit. One of the things I think that we've got to think about as well is that this is a very harsh climate, and also, of course, that it's going to be very heavily used by people. There's a potential that kids might run through beds, get very easily from a nursery, things like pyracantha and pampas grass.
Pyracanthus, yes, we've got some of that at the community centre.
I saw that was doing really well
yes,
here.
Yes, it does.
If we mix them with maybe 1 or 2 slightly more special things, like sort of giant herbaceous eupatoriums, and maybe drift the pampas grass so they look like they might in the wild, and undersow them with eschscholzia or something like that. There's some beautiful ornamental brambles, which are Rubus colburnianus it's called, and it's got white stones. Oh, lovely. And we're going to put those right the way through this side. It's going to make this area into a garden which will be something they can be proud of. I love these machines.
Oh, there'll be nothing left. Definitely nothing left. What's all this then?
We're going to put all this rubble in the base
Yeah.
of this hole that we've cleared out, taken all the topsoil off,
Yes.
which is really valuable, so that we can then plant on top of it.
All right.
And the stuff that I'm putting up here is most of it's native plants, you know, silver birch and things like that. They'll be perfectly happy over this. I want this to be like a amphitheatre shape all the way around to surround that circle in the middle.
You're going to help them with this? We'll just get the rest of them off of there and then... Need first aid? Hello. All right.
The bulldozer is knocking all these mounds out that we've been putting out all afternoon into the depression, which was dug out so that we could hide all this rubble.
You'd think that there was a great mound in that corner and now it's disappeared and you've still got the same amount of space, you know. It's
I think it's going to feel more spacious actually as soon as we get that circle in the centre taken out.
Yes.
I think we're going to have to reduce the size from what I originally thought, just to get some more bed in here. This circle looks huge at the moment, but we've got to remember that there's going to be 2 large seats in it, and planting actually in the circle as well. And then we've got planting which will come in from the side, big shrubs which will come in at least a metre over the edge. So this area will shrink a bit eventually. From this circle which I've marked out, I'll then work out where the paths are going to be. There's one that's going to go up towards the entrance and one that's going to go back up onto the grass behind us. As soon as we've got those in, we can get the digger in to take the level down a little bit and then start work for the rest of the day.
For the first start, just constant mowing, and as I say, you'll just notice that the docks will have gone. And also, you'll find a lot of the coarser grasses will go. If it's being hit about every 3 weeks and they're being cut down, you'll find a bit of finer grasses that will actually come through.
Just getting my head around putting things out now, and as soon as I start to lay things out, we can get going on the planting of the trees first. And then we'll do the shrubs, and then we'll do the perennials.
Number 6, car maintenance.
Let's start with the place where most of the problems occur. The engine. Firstly, check the oil level. You do that by taking a look at the dipstick, which is always easy to pull out. Oh, it should be anyway. Oh, no!
There are programmes about car maintenance in our new season, but not with Anthony Hem. He does gardening. The Great Gardening Plot, tomorrow at 10 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Incredible. It's a fair fish. Shaft a bit through that.
That is handsome.
That's a serious fish.
Suits you, sir. That's a cracker. Absolute beauty.
Whoa!
The fish don't stand a chance. Fishing, weekends from 10 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Magic.
An exclusive introductory offer for the gardening enthusiast that breaks new ground. Join the Gardeners Society from Readers' Union and straight away you could save up to £90. Quite a cutting on a range of exceptionally practical books from Britain's only specialist book club for gardeners. Not only that, but join now and you can choose from a selection of high-quality garden items and tools all planted on your doorstep. And once you're a member of the Gardeners Society, you can keep on ordering from our ever-blooming collection of books at specially pruned prices. So, for an offer your garden can't refuse, simply call 0800 731 3001 now for your free introductory offer pack, and you could win up to £10,000 cash in our prize draw. Start cultivating your library direct from the Gardener Society on 0800 731 3001.
Just imagine that first glorious moment when you curl up with your new K's catalogue. There's so much to look forward to, because now it's bigger and better than it's ever been, with more fashion, more sizes, more colours, more kidswear, more brands, more sportswear, and more value for your home. It's a massive 1,200 pages of relaxed, out-of-town shopping. If you're not yet shopping with K's, this is how you start. Call 0500 111 414 for a free catalogue, and we'll give you 20% discount off your first order.
10,000 feet up. This is the roof of Europe. After being shown what the Alps have to offer, it's my turn.
We all know how seriously the French take their food, but you can't go wrong with Uncle Ben's new gratin sauces. Just slice some potatoes, pour on the sauce and pop it in the oven. Voila! Delicious potato gratin.
Come and get it!
Uncle Ben's gratin sauces. Perfect every time.
This'll knock them out.
Weather you can rely on. Start cultivating your library. Simply call 0800 731 3001 for your free introductory pack direct from the Gardeners Society.
Number 9, tyre maintenance.
Now the first thing you need is, and then you need to get one a bit bigger. Make sure that your jack is up to lifting the vehicle.
There are programmes about vehicle maintenance in our new season, but not presented by Tim Grundy. He prefers to travel. Two's Country this afternoon at 3 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
that's clematis.
Number 1.
Right. Number 1 of 3,000.
The idea is that they will completely cover that whole fence. So that what I want the planting to do here is everything to be in really broad sweeps, so it looks really dramatic. And I put that clematis right the way along there. It'll start to grow back into the pyracantha as well, so you'll get this big billowing wall of clematis and pyracantha.
So it never wants any pruning or anything, it just,
No,
you
just leave it. Yeah. You could go in once every 5 years and hack it back.
Yeah.
But in the early stages, you just leave it to grow into itself.
Great.
What I'm doing is using plants on the edge of the garden which are natives or varieties of natives so that they blend in with the landscape beyond.
What are they?
The purple leaf form of the elder.
Oh, right.
It's,
Will they have a berry on as well, then, or not?
they will have a berry in the autumn and flowers, white flowers in June. And I'm putting them through this birch because you have the white stems of the silver birch and then dark purple leaves of the purple elder.
Lovely. My favourite colours, purple.
These tree ties are something which should be left on for sort of 3 years.
Yeah.
And we just put it round the tree. The spacer is to keep the tree off the stake.
Yes.
And we're going to stake low so that the any flex in this tree is from above the point where you're where you've tied, and that means that it strengthens the whole trunk.
Yeah.
And it also means that the roots build up a strength as well, because the trunk here is gently moving. If you stake up here, basically what happens is anything that's any strength in the stem is built up at this point, so when you take the stem off, this stake off, it just falls over.
Are these roses?
These are rubus.
Rubus.
Which is it's a relative of the bramble, and it has white stems in the winter.
Rubus. It's got a white stem for winter time, and you cut it right back to the ground in March. We've got to remember that.
This is a rambling rose, which is called Wedding Day, and it has one flowering, and that's in end of June, and it's really scented. The idea is that these poles are covered in scented stuff. And then we've got honeysuckle in with these roses as well, so these pillars will just be solid,
They will, won't
solid
they?
growth.
Yeah.
There's hardly anybody there.
What can you do now?
Can I hold
not
onto
sure.
the string?
Hold that string so Brad can move on. You've got stone benches, you've got this stone as a seating just on the edge of this chamomile bit.
Will this go all the way around it?
Yeah, it'll make a complete solid carpet, and then when you touch it, it smells lovely. Have you smelt it, Troy?
Is that about right?
That, yeah.
All right, then.
No, thank you. We're feeling shattered at the minute. It's been brilliant 3 days. Sun shone all time.
I can't wait for those flowers to grow up the fence behind us. I think it'll be fantastic.
To even think about doing anything on the scale of this, we'd have been still here at the turn of the century. It's been absolutely fantastic. And same again, I can't wait for it to come into flower.
This has been a really very special experience, carving a garden out of a derelict piece of land. And I hope that the high spirits that have been here today will mean that this will become a really important centre for the village and a wonderful garden that will be here for years. Hello.
Hello. Now then, how you doing?
Not too bad.
I think down here looks great.
They're looking lovely, aren't they?
Yeah,
Really nice.
It's beautiful.
Has it turned out how you expected?
Yeah, I think it has. We've got as much plant, I think, as we expected. I mean, you said we'll overplant and then see what happens. And the density round the fronts is there.
Mm.
I think we're a bit disappointed that some of the trees haven't taken, but then again, the density's there. And because it's its first year, you don't really know how much ground it's going to fill up in its second season, do you?
What about the seats? How well have they been received?
People do come down and sit on them because they've told us.
They look well fondled, actually, don't they, at the back?
Yeah. Do you shear the top off this chamomile?
Yeah,
just to keep it?
if it starts to look leggy, you can cut it back with garden shears up till, say, middle of August, and then beyond that you shouldn't really cut it at all. Right. Otherwise you'll cut back into growth which won't survive the winter. It needs the greenery to survive the winter. I think it'll work a lot better when you've got some more growth behind.
Background to it.
So it feels as if it's nestled in a bit more. And these elders just here, they're going to fill in the gaps anyway.
Yeah.
And the idea is that this bronzy elder will form a really nice backdrop to the rest of the planting. This is the eupatorium, and it's herbaceous plant which has a real impact at the end of the summer. It'll eventually grow up to about here. So the idea is that this will sort of spill down over these chamomile benches and give you a really nice dramatic backing. These clematis are doing fine, I think. Most of them are, anyway. I think
some went missing.
I think it's just a case of just watching the ones that you've got left.
Yeah.
Because it's a very vigorous one, that. And it'll, you only need, 5 or 6 along this fence to cover it.
Yeah. Right.
That's one of the things about Bill Mackenzie that is really very nice. These tasseled silvered seed heads will last right the way through the winter, and they'll eventually go sort of a buttery colour.
Oh. Can you tell us where to take that cutting from then?
You take a section with 2 leaves at the top, and you cut it below that node there.
Yeah.
And then pull those bottom 2 leaves off.
Yeah.
And then you'd remove any flower buds and basically put it in a cool, shady place.
Just this last week we've had one stolen from that middle pole because it was as thick as that one.
Right, right. Which is a shame. They won't live if they're moved in the summer like this.
No.
Somebody will have a dead honeysuckle on their hands.
Wow.
So, there you go.
It'll save them that, won't it?
But I think, again, as we were saying with the clematis, the important thing is just to take a few cuttings all the time, so you've got something up your sleeve.
Yeah, yeah.
And when these things get a bit bigger, it won't be a problem anyway. People won't take them.
I like the trees over there when they're blowing it wind like they are now.
They catch the breeze.
Yeah.
You're
getting two colours, aren't you?
Yeah.
Blowing. Yeah.
And they're growing really well.
Yeah, they are growing well. What are they?
That's the silver willow.
Yeah.
If you find that they're getting too big, you can literally just chop them right down to the ground, and they'll come up from the base.
Grow again.
Yeah.
Next February, March, when the birds have had most of the berries, cut this down to the bottom rail, and it'll naturally thicken up all the way along.
Yeah.
Just by taking the tops off. And if there are any gaps, you can take these shoots, and you don't need to put them straight into the ground. These can actually be laid horizontally, about 4 inches deep, and you'll actually get a shoot come from every bud.
Oh, right.
So you've got a natural hedge forming.
Yeah.
And it'll root out from every joint as well.
I think what you want to try and achieve for next year is a total cover on the ground. The plants will dry out much less slowly because the sun isn't hitting the ground.
I've got some Aquilegia seeds as well.
Perfect.
Which area would you put those in?
I put them at the front, in amongst the herbaceous stuff, and they'll find their way.
So around these, this sort of area?
Right the way around.
And the other thing is some bulbs.
Yeah, are there any particular bulbs?
Small flowered narcissus would be
narcissus, small narcissus.
It's there's a really good one called Tete-a-Tete, which is really early, one of the earliest ones. The larger the numbers, the better the show.
We're amazed at all the different colours. From what we started with to turn out like this has been magnificent.
I think one of the things that immediately struck me as being successful about this garden is that we've used everyday things that you could easily find in the nursery. We've got pampas grass, we've got pyracantha, buddleias, catmint, but hopefully we've used them in a way which is slightly more relaxed. And if you can shake off those bad associations which many people have with those common plants, I think you can see them for what they are, which is really very good, tough plants which will survive in any condition.
Not one to stay in one place for too long, Tim Grundy is out and about again next with his camera-toting friend. This time it's a journey to Gran Canaria.
Number 3, changing a fuse.
Folks, we've lost the lights, so give me a moment to get this fuse in the right slot, and yibbida-yibbida, we'll be up and running.
Fortunately, Rex stays away from the fuse box and sticks to what he knows best. Rex Hunt's Fishing Adventures, tomorrow at 11 on Discovery Home and Leisure. Number 5, fishing.
So, let's fish. Oh, and again. Ooh, screw. And again. Oh, I've got one.
There's lots of fishing in our new season, but not with Russell Harris. He helps to build houses. These 4 walls this afternoon at 2:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
If, like me, your pastry making isn't up to much, you'll want to watch Sweet Things with Greg and Max in half an hour. First, Two's Country.
About 2 years after the theatre was built, they built this, the Capitol, which is it's not a church. No, I know it's not a church, and it's not a cathedral. It's something to do with the floor. It's a temple. It's a temple. We'll do this one again. Ivy was her designer, and he was a bit famous for building castles, and he put up this fortification, although this bit was built by the Germans in the Second World War. This is the fire tower. It doesn't quite fit in with the rest, and get down off it. Anyway, fantastic! A whole new series, and we don't have to do any jobs. Just history and holiday. Gran Canaria, the first one of the Canaries, which, as we know, has nothing to do with little yellow birds, but actually is named after the Latin for dog, which is canis, and the little yellow birds were named after the island. Amazing. We have to share an apartment. That's okay. Yeah, that's all right. I can live with that, because I understand you've had to cut your cloth accordingly. I don't know why you had to do all the booking, though. And why did you keep telling me to put my sunglasses on? I didn't understand that. It's a Club 1830 holiday. That actually does create a bit of a problem. That actually creates a huge problem. Look, I was serious. I can't... I'm not... Yes, I know, I've had to put them on. That's all to do with it. I mean, I can't be seen here at the moment. Get it? Good, good. We've got a vehicle. This one is it. Nice, nondescript vehicle. I can get in and hide. And it... Look, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that this is right for the kind of holiday, yes? But it's wrong for me. I mean, it's got no window. Everyone can see me. And where are we going in it anyway? Does this involve lots of young people having a good time? Couldn't we just go back to the apartment? Because they've got some lovely curtains I can draw and stay in there a bit. I'm over here. I'm in disguise. See if you can find me. No, look, that's a phone box. I'm here. Well, what do you think? Would you have known it was me? Well, I'm working on it. Some facts about Gran Canaria then, hey? 1,532 square kilometres, the highest population of the Canaries, 700,000 people, the vast majority of them living in Las Palmas. And, yes, as you can see, that is Puerto Rico, not the famous Puerto Rico, but it is also packed with people who might know who I am, you know, got some friends. So shall we move on? Porto Mogan. Now, I know why you brought me here, because it looks Venetian and it looks old and you think it's got a load of history in it. Well, it hasn't. Gran Canaria is in fact about 14 to 15 million years old, but this place is about 14 to 15 minutes. Well, thereabouts, anyway. And it takes its name, it takes its name from the little village up on the top of the hill called Mogan, which is at the entrance of a really fertile valley. And the reason why the valley is so fertile is because clouds form just on the hills behind me, and it rains up the valley. And yet, this port is the driest port on the whole of the island. Thank you. So you've got the driest next to the wettest. And as you can see, you've also got an awful lot of very wealthy and very influential people. What? No, no, we're not going for a drink. We're moving on. We are. Las Palomas and Saharan-type dunes, something out of Lawrence of Arabia. In fact, for a long time, they thought that these dunes were blown across the waters from Africa, which, when all said and done, is not that far away. But recent investigation has shown that they come from local rocks. So it's not quite so romantic. But it does make a good hiding place, especially if you're going undercover, like me. The only thing that grows around here, you know, is this cactus, which is some sort of prickly crown type name, and that's right, it grows just underneath the sand surface. Do you know, that sand gets absolutely everywhere. I've got bits of it stuck to me all over the... It gets in my ears as well. It's Mas Palomas, not Las Palomas. All right, clever clogs, fair enough. Well, we've come down the coast to the big city of Mas Palmas. Well, you started it. And this is the oldest building on Gran Canaria, Castillo de la Luz, which means the Castle of Light. It was built by the conquistadors in 1494, which was the same year that Christopher Columbus sailed into town, although they call him Cristobal Colon. Anyway, it was from here that Cristobal, who's either Spanish or Portuguese, we're not sure, there's a bit of a fight going on over him at the moment, but we're going to say he's Spanish. He set sail in search of the New World from here. Now think about it, his sailors thought they were going to go off the end of the world. But of course they didn't. They went off to find India. Instead, they landed in America, and they still call the people Indians, which is why we do today. The other thing that's strange about Christopher is that he landed in a harbour that is now the airport. So he set sail in search of the New World, they built an airport, and now the New World comes flying into that one point to come and lie in the sun here. Irony or what? And he wasn't stupid. Our Chrissy. The Gator. This is the old part of the city, and it means flatlands, and that's why they chose it, a much prized area, and that's where the nobles decided to build their important buildings. Right here. 1478, the conquistadors arrived here, and about 20 years later they started building that, the Cathedral Santa Ana, although it took them a while because they didn't finish it until the 20th century. I know, I think they must have had a few siestas. Anyway, they did a good job. This place has hardly changed. It would have looked just like this when Christopher Columbus walked these very streets. What? Oh yeah, that's right. He probably would have done that a bit because he wouldn't have had his land legs for a while, would he? But just like in years gone by, it is still an area for the rich, the prosperous and the powerful to live in, which is why I really shouldn't be seen here. Now you look at the town hall or something. Yeah, it's very nice of you, but Christopher Columbus to a cornet doesn't work, does it? Look, there's people everywhere. I'm gonna have to go back to the apartment or something. Guanches. Is it a long way away from here? Okay, lead on. Is there anyone around I might know? Okay, all right. Now what have you found for me? An interesting rock formation, something wonderfully historic, something I can talk, and well, I could talk about that because it's a five-a-side pitch. And what do you think that is? Do you think that's where your young friends are going to turn up? They're not going to turn up here because this is Barranco de Guayareque, which is the Valley of Flowing Water, and this is where the first settlers on the island made their home. The Guanches, the brave men, the big men, tall men with blonde hair. Well, they settled here because the valley was fertile. They could grow whatever they wanted, and because the rock here is volcanic. Volcanic rock has big holes in it. You dig into those holes, put a gate on the front, and you've got yourself a cave or a dwelling. In fact, they're still used today, as you can see. The whole of this valley is honeycombed with caves. And even after the Guanches had gone, the Spanish made it their home. In fact, still today, it is the home of many people. This is the centre area. There's a bar, there's a restaurant, and there's a lovely little church, which again is carved out of rock. Now the Guanches would have three kinds of caves. They'd have caves that you lived in, they'd have caves that you keep food in, like grain, and they'd have caves that you put your mummified dead in. And they would normally be at the top of these giant valleys. Can you see them? Oh, don't be ridiculous, give me those. I need them the most because they might be looking down. In fact, anybody might be looking down. Well, you've done it this time, mate. What a fantastic spread. You've got Casa Antonio to do just the most delightful meal. Yep, I mean, look at that pork. That's not small, is it? A lovely pork roast. And look round the table. We've got all these wonderful things. We've got some goat's cheese directly in front of you. We've got some Spanish sausage here, which is picante, which means spicy. A few chips, some Canarian potatoes. Yep. Garlic bread over here. Got to have some garlic bread. And the centerpiece, the paella, which is, oh, look at it, packed full of stuff. They make a sort of soup out of all the spices and the onions and the vegetables at the very beginning. Then they add the rice, and then the last thing they add is the seafood, like the gambas or the big shrimps here, the prawns. And you've got some mussels in there, the peas are mixed in. The whole thing is just crammed to perfection. You have to have as much moisture at the end as you do at the beginning. But I'm not going to join you. Well, you know, this place is packed. No, well, all right, it will be. I just can't be seen, all right? Enjoy yourself.
Number 27, wallpapering.
I've already cut this piece to length. Now I'm just going to make sure that every single square inch is covered with paste. All this lovely stuff. When it's on the wall, begin smoothing it in long, broad strokes. Making sure that the pattern matches, of course. So, there you have it.
There's lots of DIY in our new season, but not presented by Greg and Max. They're much better in the kitchen. Cookery with Greg and Max this afternoon at 1 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
There's so much more to look forward to in the new season's K's catalogue. Call 0500 111 414 for your free copy and get 20% discount off your first order.
Would you like a bigger salary, promotion, or maybe a new career? Call ICS now on this number to find out how to improve your prospects by studying at home for those essential qualifications. With ICS, it's so easy and enjoyable. You use the material provided to study in your own time and at your own pace. When you have successfully completed your course, you'll receive a recognized qualification or an ICS diploma as proof of your new skills. All your course material is delivered right to your door. You can learn bookkeeping, child daycare, child psychology, fitness and nutrition, TV, video and hi-fi servicing, PC repair, business management, hotel and catering management, desktop publishing, computer programming and many, many more. Improve your chances of getting the career you want. Call ICS now free of charge on 0500 30 33 55 for more information. That's 0500 30 33 55.
150,000? That's millions.
Andrex are giving away thousands of toys.
150,000?
simply reveal a winning voucher.
Yes, I've won, I've won!
And be a winner with special packs of Andrex toilet tissue.
Keeping your home running smoothly is expensive enough these days. When you have a young family as well, the bills come even faster. Would your family be able to cope financially with the loss of a partner? How would you manage if you had to take care of your home, your children, and pay all the bills on your own? From just £8 a month, Sun Life could insure you, so if the worst happens, there's a large cash sum to help your partner carry on, or to provide for the children. And unlike most life insurance plans, after 15 years protection, this one also pays out a cash sum if you don't die. That's why we call it Money Back. Call now on 0800 60 80 40 for full details of the Sun Life Money Back plan and a personal quotation. There's no obligation, no salesman will call, and you can choose a free gift to welcome you as a policyholder. Give those who depend on you the financial protection they deserve with a life insurance plan that pays out cash if you die and cash if you don't. Money Back from Sun Life.
Life can be intensive on your skin. Cold roughens it. Wind blasts it. Water dries it out. Your skin can become dry like an arid landscape. Vaseline Intensive Care works intensively to fight dryness and so put the life back. Vaseline Intensive Care.
The challenge. Transform an empty room into a period room in 8 hours.
Right then, we better get going. We need a range, sink, flooring. Now, I like this list of ticking things off. You've got my dresser!
Annabelle Giles is your host.
There's an hour to go, and there's nobody here.
For Period Rooms, Sundays at 12:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
I understand what you're trying to do for me, but it's just, yeah, I can't get involved. It's not that I don't want to get wet or anything. I mean, I'd love that normally, but I've got a problem, and is there nothing else we can do? Good, let's do it. Look, I know you're trying to be nice to me, and this is normally what I'd like. You know, everyone's having a great time. I'm over here. No, I'm over here. No, that's not me. My disguise is not that good. Look, this is the welcoming party for everyone on the holiday. You know, that's not me either. And they're all going out for the night, and believe me, I'm over here. They're going to get absolutely slaughtered, and we're not. No. We can't. I can't explain, but we can't. Look, you can have a quick, soft drink. Okay? Okay? Gotta go. And now from the top, looking down. This, too, was a Guanche settlement, and it's still a village today. The Spanish that took over from the Guanches took over their dwellings. And in fact, they're still using that. No, I'm over here. I'm in disguise again. Hey, see? Like I say, the dwellings are still being used today. They're over there. Can you see them? Those houses actually go into the hillside. They've got a little bit on the front, but they go in. You could dig your own digs here. What? How do you put down the address for the postman? Well, yeah, you're right. I suppose you just say, you know, I'm the third quaver from the quaver with the brown door that's above the quaver that's got the green windowsill. That is a bit tricky, isn't it? La Atalaya, this village is called, and it means on the top level, which it most certainly is. And the Guanches would have liked that because of the fertile land, but also because they could worship their god, the sun god. Not quite there at the moment. You want to worship the sun as well? Well, couldn't we just stay up here a while, and then we can keep an eye on anyone that might be coming up? No, you don't understand. I tell you what, if we do go down, let's stay near the apartment, then I've got somewhere to, yeah, okay. Now, you go and have a look at those, and I'll keep an eye out. Now that is interesting, because that was the first golf club like that to be built in Spain by English people. Now, did you lock the car up? Because there's something I need. Oh yeah, that's right. What? Are we there? What? Going down my window? Who's going down my window? Why? What on earth? We've just been over that. In this. Be careful, please. Great. My favourite sort of place. Where are we going now then? Oh, super. Like we're not high enough already. Actually, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, because this is perfect for me. Cenovio de Baliron. Now this is a naturally occurring cave, and within it there are 300 caves that were dug out by the Guanches. And this is where they would have stored the food. There had been wooden shutters over each of these caves, and the leader would have put a seal over those shutters, and then eventually, when time was needed, he would share the food out amongst his people. It was also a highly religious place, and priestesses were kept here, and their job was to fatten up the girls who were destined to become members of the Guanche royal family. They'd give them rich food so that they got big hips and big other bits, because they thought they were the only ones who would be childbearing. Now it's perfect for me because I can hide away for a bit. Well, yeah, just give me 5 minutes until the tourist rush has gone. When you've a moment, I'd like a word. Listen, I know you mean well, but I was happy in my cave, and now I've got a problem. Ask them to leave, will you? Now would be good. Now look, I don't understand. I mean, yeah, right, yeah. All the reps are out there doing cabaret. Well, I mean, I don't understand what we're doing here. I mean, no, look, I know a stage and me, normally, my liege, your sword, it wouldn't go down well here. Can't do that. What, out there? If I was not a TV star, there's something else I'd rather be. If I was not a TV star, a club rep I would be. And as you people pass me by, this is what you'd hear me cry. Give us a fag, buy us a beer, course I'll keep in touch, dear. Give us a fag, buy us a beer, course I'll keep in touch. That's it. I'm not going on stage again. In fact, I'm not going in the spotlight again. I'm in the spotlight enough. And to be perfectly frank, whilst we're here, I don't want to be in any kind of a spotlight. Well, look, I'll tell you what. I'll come clean with you. You know Cynthia that you introduced me to in the film industry? Well, she said she'd pay for my film, you know, 1066. Harold and William and all that. Fantastic. And you could even do the filming on it. Anyway, it's a bursary, so it only goes to people who are over 40. That's why I can't be seen on an 1830 holiday. You what? You thought I was embarrassed because I look more than 30? Cheeky devil, of course I could get away with 30. Anyway, you have to take film finance very, very seriously. And, well, that's very nice of you, but believe me, 6,000 pesetas will not pay for a movie. Anyway, she said she was out here the same time as us, which is why I've been hiding. Because if she sees us, or even sees this programme, I'm in big trouble. So if you see anyone who's sort of, you know, Hollywood, big, loads of gold, jangle jangle, let me know. When you're ready, come on, it's time to go. What? It's from Hollywood. It's from Cynthia. Have you had this all week? Don't call us. Couldn't make Gran Canaria. Hasta la vista. Listen, you know the car keys for the hire car? You didn't hand them back, did you? You know the girls and the pub. We couldn't just. I don't believe that. I could have had a great time, and you've had it all this time. Get the bags.
Number 30, quick fixes.
This door should be perfect. A dab of this at either end.
There is DIY in our new season, but not with Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. He's much better at cookery. A Cook on the Wild Side, Sundays at 11 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Take a journey beyond life as you know it and experience the unexplored.
I feel amazingly frightened and incredibly exhilarated.
Feel the thrill of exploration. Woo! And push back the boundaries with those who have ventured beyond the map.
My motto is life is adventure or nothing at all.
Beginning in the heart of the Amazon with the stunning new series Untamed Amazonia, the unexplored enters your homes tonight at 8 on Discovery Channel.
You to me are everything. Every once in a while comes a compilation of music's greatest achievements, like the silky Irish brogue of Fanny Farrell. YMCA Shep Matlock. Stay at the YMCA. Britain's finest singers, all in one unforgettable music game show, Karaoke Challenge. Don't watch TV.
Number 18, plant life.
Let's look at plants. There's so many varieties. There's the yellow ones, and there's the red ones, and my favourite, the blue ones. They're dead easy to look after. You just give them a wee drink now and then. There we go, and of course a little trim. Best of all, they grow back next year.
There is gardening in our new season, but not with Kay Adams. She presents Wheel Nuts, part of Saturday Cars. Saturdays from 11 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Demolition time with Bob Beeler in half an hour. First, wonderful recipes to demolish. Greg and Max's Sweet Things.
Hello and welcome to Sweet Things with Greg and Max. We've got a real international flavour to the show today because later on in Panic Stations I'm going to be taking you down South America way. Showing you how to make churros.
Yeah. I'm going to France and I'm going to be gently revealing that wonderful dessert from the bosom of La Belle France, Paris-Brest.
Before coming straight home for their good old traditional apple pie.
We'll be giving you loads of hints and tips of wonderful ways to make brilliant desserts that look great and taste even better.
And what better place to actually start than with a kind of glazed fruit tart. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do.
I'm going to pop over here, but I shall be watching you.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, now look, today's theme is pastry, basically. All our desserts include pastry in one form or another. So I want to just start by giving you a few very quick tips about how to make successful pastry. Ingredients, up to you. You know the kind of things you like to make, but once you've got your flour and your fat, whatever the fat is that you're adding, the key to a successful pastry must be be light, be quick, all right? Fat, for example, whether it's butter or lard, let it be cold. Use your fingertips to mix that up into the breadcrumb form, and then use a fork to mix in whatever liquid you want. Don't use your hands until right at the last minute when you're really just bringing that together. The more you work it, the more kind of difficult it becomes to manage and roll out, all right? So lightness, quickness, that's the key. When you've actually made the pastry, wrap it tightly in cling film or a plastic bag and put it in the fridge and let it rest for half an hour. Believe it or not, that helps relax the pastry, the fat firms up. It's much easier to roll out and it's much easier to use. That 30 minutes in the fridge really, really helps. And by the way, pastry, if you want to line a tartlet tin with pastry but not use it straight away, it freezes beautifully. And in fact, I think sometimes the pastry is improved. You can actually take that frozen pastry shell right into the oven and cook from frozen. And I think it improves the quality. And also, all you have to do is cook it that little bit longer. Okay? A few tips for successful pastry. What we're actually going to make now is a glazed fruit tartlet. And before I start, I'm going to give you the ingredients to this particular recipe because I suspect you are going to be rushing into your kitchen after this program's finished and making one for yourself. So here is the list of what you're going to need for a glazed fruit tart. All right, we're going to start with 6½ ounces of plain flour and a pinch of salt. This is for the pastry, by the way. 2½ ounces of caster sugar and 3 egg yolks. ½ a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 3½ ounces of butter. For the creme patissiere, you're going to need 6 egg yolks, 4 ounces of caster sugar, 1½ ounces of plain flour, 15 fluid ounces of milk and a pinch of salt with some vanilla extract, and then for the glaze on the top, 2 to 3 tablespoons of red currant jelly which you just dissolve very gently on the hob. All right, what we did with our pastry, having successfully made it according to the rules I just told you, line the pastry tin and then bake it blind. What that means is that you put it in the oven.
Blindfold on.
No, you don't.
That's how I do it.
What an interesting notion of pastry making.
They never come out very well, but I have fun.
I wonder why. When you've lined your pastry case, prick the base with a fork, because that will mean that the pastry won't rise. A lot of recipes say line it with greaseproof paper and put in baking beans. Strictly speaking, you don't need to. You can put it into the oven at high temperature, wait until it goes lovely and golden, and it shouldn't rise. What's inside? Well, it is a luscious custard called creme patissiere.
Oh, this is... I've got to come over here for this.
This is one of your favourites.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
Creme patissiere is an egg-enriched custard, which has got quite a lot of flour in, which means that it's set really quite firmly. It is absolutely delicious. 1½ ounces of flour. When you've got all that mixture in the pan, you do have to cook it for 2 minutes to make sure that the flour cooks through, all right? And there you've got your completed creme patissiere.
I must say, if you're going to leave it hanging around for any amount of time, you know, sometimes it can get a little skin on the top. That is so annoying. A couple of things you can do. First of all, if you just get a little knob of butter on the end of a fork, because this will still be a little bit warm, you just go all the way over the top, and that'll stop the skin from forming. Or you can do what we've done here and just stick a bit of cling film on there.
That's the modern way, isn't it? We can do the classic and the modern.
Absolutely.
So we'll take off the cling film, put that over there, and then what we do is just spoon some of that fabulous rich custard into the pastry case and spread it out like
Shall I hold that?
If you just hold that for me. So spread that to the edges, that is.
Shall we put enough in there?
I've left you actually quite a lot, Greg.
You have, because I like to lick the bowl afterwards.
Yes, good gracious. Well, there we are. There's our creme patissiere. And then what we need to do is this. Now, look here. A range of fruit, the widest range of fruit you possibly can. Nice pieces of fruit, but let's not arrange them in pretty patterns. I think that looks a little bit off. What I would prefer to do is to actually take the pieces of fruit, for example, I've got my bananas here, and rather than arrange them in pretty and repetitive patterns, just kind of load them. Well, exactly.
Piles, Max. That's what we want.
Oh, fruit. Yes. So there again, you put on your fruit like that. So we've got our strawberries there. Look at those beautiful raspberries. And then we've got the figs, of course. I think the figs are absolutely gorgeous. They really are such fabulous quality today. A beautiful purple inside and that lovely skin on the outside.
It's
there
almost
you've got your
exciting,
melon.
isn't it?
Okay.
I'm excited. Isn't that gorgeous?
All right. Now then, let's just put some more fruit. I mean, and then we've got the five sallies.
These are fun.
Okay, let's just put the five sallies on, just for a touch of the orange and that wonderful top. We've got those lovely kind of papery tops to them as well. Now, obviously, if you want to, you can take as much time as possible, but I think that looks absolutely superb. I'm actually going to put a few more figs over there and perhaps finish with the grapes. And then all we need is really a glaze. Now, once again, don't brush the glaze all over. Just take 2 or 3 tablespoons of red currant jelly and just pour that over
And
the
there's
top.
your glaze. I'm going to pop
Thank
over
you.
here while you finish that
All
off.
right. Now, once again, don't feel the need to brush that all over. Just drizzle it on. What I would do is make the glaze, and then just as you're about to serve your mixed glaze fruit tartlet, just drizzle that lovely red syrup over the top like that, and then serve that straight to your guests. And I think they're probably going to be majorly impressed. Wouldn't you agree? I think so.
That is just so gorgeous it hurts. Now, this is the part of the programme that we go to foreign lands in search of wonderful, new and exotic desserts. So let's see where we've ended up today. Oh, I say, isn't that gorgeous? Oh, hold on, the window's in. Never mind. That looks wonderful. I haven't the faintest idea where it is, but I actually have a bit of a clue because here we are in our special spot. Yes, we're going to Planet Pudding. Wonderful. Okay, come over here with me. Are you doing that nicely? Good. Fabulous. Okay.
Yes.
Paribreast. Paribreast is one of those dishes that, you know, can strike fear into the heart of even the best cook. And I don't know why. It's, I think, because there's choux pastry involved, but choux pastry is just so simple. What I'm going to do is just pop that back on the gas there, because in the pan I've got a little bit of water and I've also got butter in there as well. What I want to do is just bring that gently up to the boil. As soon as it reaches the boil, I want to put the flour in. Now, choux pastry, of course, it is made in the pan there. It's unlike any other type of pastry at all. That is, I think, what phases people sometimes. That's just coming up there. I tell you what, there's a lovely story to do with Paribreast. Apparently, there was this little lad who was on his bicycle that had to get a cake that was very similar to the one that we're going to be making from Paris to Brest by a certain amount of time. It was someone's birthday, I think. So he had it on his bicycle and he had to pedal like absolute Billy-O to get there in time, and he did. And it was that story that made it Paribreast, called Paribreast until absolutely infinitum. So isn't that marvellous?
That's just well he wasn't on his way to Whipsnade, isn't it?
Absolutely, because it would have
Harry
made...
Whipsnade.
Really.
Doesn't sound quite so classy, does it?
Reading the paper there.
Carry on.
Tell you what, now then, the whole idea of choux pastry is you put it in there. When that is just coming up to the boil, you take that off the heat there and you turn the flour into there. In fact, I think I'm going to take that off right now. I'm going to pour the flour into that lovely buttery mixture and give that a good old stir around. The whole idea is that you stir it very, very vigorously like that, and as soon as it starts coming away from the side, that is, there we go, there it goes, that is when the flour is cooked, okay? That is as simple as that is. Right, that is about perfect there. The next thing to do is, in fact, put in the eggs. Now, you only put the eggs in at about a third at a time. You have to be very careful with this, because you may not have to use all the eggs. So, just about a third of that mixture goes into there, and make sure it is completely... Is there any good news in there, by the way, Matt? So you just...
Oh, no,
you just
no,
take absolutely no attention at all.
Not true.
None at all. You might know. Now, look at this. Why don't you just put the eggs in there? The idea is that you mix that around there until it's wonderfully glossy and smooth. Okay, I haven't got enough time to do that, but you get the idea. Once that's lovely and glossy and smooth, you put it into a piping bag. Let it sit, cool down, put it into a piping bag. All right, we make the base of the Paribreast. If you've never seen this before, this is great. What you do is you take your piping bag with a nice big nozzle there, and you just pipe all the way around. I've got some greaseproof paper there, and I've put about an 8 or 9 inch circle there, and I'm going to pipe one around that and then one on the inside there. Now that doesn't look very much at the moment, but believe me, when that all puffs up, it gets about 3 times the size. Next, sprinkle a few almonds all the way across the top there like that. You can toast them if you want to, but I don't think it needs to, because of course that's going to go into the oven. And then finally, a little skittering of icing sugar over there. Right.
That then goes into the oven, and that goes at 380 degrees, 190, gas mark 5 until it puffs up. And this is what it looks like. Once it's puffed up, what you do then is...
Excuse me, can I just interject?
I haven't given the oven temperature. Oh. It puffs up, and then you put it 400, 200, gas mark 6 for another 25, 30 minutes. It will look like this.
It will. Can I do my tip now?
Do your tip now.
The tip is this. Because you've got water inside the Paris Best, the choux pastry, that's what makes it all puffed up, because you've got steam inside. But when it comes out of the oven, what you do is you make cuts in the pastry at intervals all the way around the ring in order to allow that steam to escape. Because once it's made the pastry puff up, it's done its work, let it escape so that it doesn't make the pastry soggy.
Isn't that
Same is
marvellous?
true, by the way, for profiteroles.
You see, you were taking note,
I know I
You
was.
were.
I just didn't want to admit that I was so impressed by what you were doing.
Excellent. Now, what I'm doing here is just absolutely fab. I've got a combination of custard and cream, and it looks a little bit odd, but that's because there is praline in there. Max, talk about praline while I put the strawberries in.
Terribly simple, but wonderful, wonderful idea. You put a pan in there with some whole almonds with their skin on, and sugar. Put that on the heat until the sugar turns to caramel and coats the nuts. When that happens, you pour the whole lot out onto a greased baking tray, and when it's gone completely cold, you put it in a food processor and grind it down, and it makes a wonderfully sweet, nutty filling, which you can use like this to fill your Paris Best. What a brilliant idea. Who did
It's
that
just
first?
so gorgeous. There we are. We'd put more strawberries in if you had a little bit more time, but I must say, that is looking sensational. A little skittering of sugar on the top of that. And I tell you, is that impressive?
that is wonderful.
It's gorgeous. So that little lad cycling all that way, I think he deserves some sort of medal.
I didn't know that story.
Isn't it a
That is
lovely
such a
story?
sweet story.
And apparently it got there in one piece as well. Paris Brest. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, my
All right.
goodness.
So we're almost reaching that time of the show when we perhaps have to take our leave of you. But what is in today's Gadget Gallery? Because I think that's what you're asking.
It is, certainly. Let's take a look at what's in Gadget Gallery. Well,
what is this? If you
What
don't
is
know,
it?
join us again in the second half and all will be made clear. We'll have more fun as well.
Number 30, quick fixes.
A few inches off the edge of this door should be perfect. A dab of this at either end should do the trick. A couple of screws under here, and this will be as good as new.
There is DIY in our new season, but not with Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. He's much better at cookery. A Cook on the Wild Side, Sundays at 11 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Meet Lee Mai and her friends.
Home Pride sweet and sour sauce. Cooks great in the oven and takes no time at all to prepare. So simple, even Sassenach could do it right. Just like your favourite Chinese restaurant.
Brilliant! A perfect sweet and sour, or as we say it in Scotland, a number 32.
Home Pride cooking sauces. Authentic flavours from all around the world. Also available in Edinburgh.
Your skin can become dry like an arid landscape. So put the life back with Vaseline Intensive Care.
Look what's cooking this autumn from Lakeland Limited. Our new 80-page catalogue is packed with hundreds of new creative kitchenware ideas designed to make your kitchen easier to work in, bright and cheerful to live in. So for value, choice and easy home shopping, call 0800 597 0800 now for your free Lakeland catalogue.
The Great British Christmas is part of our heritage. And if, like me, you have to make sure everything's just right, become a Heritage Hampers agent in 1998. Just call 0800 50 1000 now for your free catalogue. Every hamper is brimming over with the finest fare, and there are over 60 hampers and packs from a piffling 50 pence a week. And jewellery, tableware, high street shopping vouchers, even toys for your little mites. Call now for your free catalogue and find out how you could get a lovely free gift and up to 25% commission as a Heritage Hampers agent. And wouldn't it be a blessing if you were to win a share of £30,000 in the free prize draw? So, celebrate a really traditional Christmas in 1998. For your heritage catalogue, call free on 0800 50 1000. That's 0800 50 1000. Then celebrate a really traditional Christmas next year.
This is an appeal from Oxfam to ask you for £2 a month to help some of the world's poorest people. What if you had to stand by and watch your crops fail because the ground was too parched to nourish them? What if you had to walk 6 hours in the baking sun every day just to get enough water to quench your thirst? What if your children were forced to drink water so dirty that you knew it might kill them? And what if all you had to do to help change lives like these was to call Oxfam on 0800 31 31 31? Just £2 a month from you can help a third world community build a well to give them clean, safe water for life. Help farmers water their crops for harvests that will feed their families year after year. And pipe water to villages so people don't have to walk miles to find a drink. People in the third world don't want handouts. They just want the chance to work themselves out of poverty and live dignified, independent lives. So call Oxfam now on 0800 31 31 31 and give £2 a month, or whatever you can. Please, call us.
Number 9, tyre maintenance.
Now the first thing you need is, and then you need to get one a bit bigger. Make sure that your jack is up to lifting the vehicle.
There are programmes about vehicle maintenance in our new season, but not presented by Tim Grundy. He prefers to travel. Two's Country this afternoon at 3 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Hello and welcome back to Sweet Things with Greg and Max. Just before the break, we looked at this in our gadget gallery. Well, this is in fact a pastry lattice cutter. We've given ourselves a little competition here. We're going to take 30 seconds to create the most fabulous pastry lattice. Are you ready, Maxwell?
Is the foregone conclusion? Yes.
On your marks, let's go.
Okay. Oh yes, Scofield goes into an early lead. Smoothly, effortlessly.
This is gorgeous.
That's
Greg much better.
No,
Look at this.
Can I just lift this up and separate? I think I shall.
Lift and separate what?
Yes.
Okay.
What is it? Lift and separate?
Yes. Now
It's
then,
me
look,
and the-
that's it.
No.
Oh, yes.
No, no,
Oh, yes.
no.
Yes. The... Oh. Oh.
I think we have it. Is there a result? Yes, I think there is.
I don't think so. That's what... basically, that is a pastry sort of string vest.
It's a pastry lattice cutter. It's perfect. 10 out of 10.
Oh, never mind. It was a good try.
Thank you.
But I think the clear winner there. This is a part of the programme where we get you out of trouble, basically. We show you something very quick and simple and easy to do, just in case people drop round and they don't tell you they're coming. So what you must always remember is just don't panic! Okay, we're back over here, we're back over here. Right, churros. Churros, it's one of those things, it's a great backup. You can make it from things in your store cupboard, and the Spanish came up with this clever little devils. Look at those little darlings in there.
Seem to be very popular in Spanish-speaking countries because, of course, in South America as well, they tend to like it. And if you were watching Greg earlier, you will have seen him make pastry in a pan. What do we mean by that? Well, we mean choux pastry. It's deadly simple to make. You saw the ingredients earlier. You make it in a pan and you can use it straight away. Put it into a piping bag with a nozzle at the end and drop it into hot fat, which is what we've got here. I'm sorry, this is what's been making the noise.
Those, isn't that gorgeous? Make sure the fat is as hot as you can because we don't want them to soak up more than they have to. Stick them, come off there, that's right. Now then, we're going to put that back in there. This is the pastry into... Are you ready to cut some of these?
Are you... Oh,
this is such a gorgeous moment. This is a real television moment.
You
ready
squeeze
for
that...
this?
No,
Low, right.
There you go.
1, 2, 3. It's poetic, isn't it?
There you go, into the hot fat. By the way, can I just a little tip here? When you're actually putting stuff like this into hot fat, that's enough. Don't put it into the net, because otherwise they'll cook onto the net. You actually drop them into the fat, which is why we went slightly lower.
Okay, there we go.
Drain them on absorbent paper, and then...
Right. This is gorgeous. This is aniseed sugar. We made this by taking about 4 ounces of sugar and 4, what do they call, star anise, and whizzing those together, sieving them through so all the big sort of bits of husk are out of the way. That is so gorgeous.
And then you actually put on a cinnamon syrup, which is muscovado sugar and water, add some cinnamon and orange juice, and then you just simply, in a pure way of pure excess,
baby.
drizzle it over your churros and give it to your guests and... Yummy!
That is just too gorgeous for words, those Spanish. They want something
They know how to
reward for
do a
that
thing.
one. Wonderful. Apple pie. Apple pie is one of those things that if you get it right, it is the most gorgeous thing in the world. If you get it wrong, it's a bit of a mess. Okay, apple pie. If you want to do my recipe, these are the ingredients. So hang around, get your pencil out. These are the ingredients for my apple pie. First of all, what you will need is 8 ounces of plain flour, a pinch of salt, 4.5 ounces of butter, the grated rind of a lemon, 1 ounce of caster sugar, 1 egg yolk, and 2 tablespoons of iced water. Now that is all for the pastry. What you'll need for the filling is 1 pound 4 ounces of Bramley apples, 12 ounces of dessert apples, the juice of a lemon, okay, that's for the filling, and this is a special bit, the syrup. Half a pint of cold water, you've got half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 2 cloves, 3 strips of lemon peel, 3 ounces of brown sugar, and 3 ounces of raisins, and just a little bit of milk and caster sugar if you want to glaze the top. Okay, I am not going to bang on to you about how to make the perfect pastry. Max has already told you that, and all those hints and tips, do go by them. I think the one that you have to underline 50 times is don't overwork the pastry. Okay, that is most important. So those are the ingredients, and if you follow Max's tips, you'll get the perfect pastry. All right, the apples. This is the apple mixture that we've got here. Bramley apples and a mixture of that and dessert apples. It's really perfect. If you have, you know, the rather sort of sweet dessert apples to go with the Bramley apples, it's absolutely perfect. I heard, actually, that quinces, which is a sort of a relative of the pear and the apple, if you use quince with the cooking apples as well, apparently that is gorgeous, but I've never tried it myself. This over here is the interesting bit. This is the syrup. Now, if I just turn it that way, can you have a look in there? Looking absolutely gorgeous. Okay, now what I've done to start that off, I've got some of the cores and some of the peel from the apple, just put them in there, a little bit of water, we've got some ground cinnamon, some cloves, and we've got some little strips of lemon in there. Okay, that is then sort of just heated until everything is lovely and soft. That's with the lid on. Then you take the lid off and you really, really zap it, okay? And in about 10-15 minutes you should have that one is going everywhere. Look at that. We have that wonderful, wonderful syrup there. So I'm just going to make sure I've got my clove out there. Wonderful. Get everything out of there. Into that I've got a knob of butter, I've got brown sugar, and also raisins. Okay, give that a lovely twist around there. Make sure everything is wonderfully amalgamated. Okay, that is just looking
Can I have a look after that for you?
You have a look
want
at
to
that.
carry on now?
Okay. That's how syrup comes along. First of all, I'm going to put the apples in here. Incidentally, you can leave them in acidulated water if you want to. It's water with a bit of lemon juice in there. Or you can sprinkle them, like I've done just here, with lemon juice, just to keep them from going brown. Fill that right up to the top like that. Incidentally, can you see that on the dish there, I've already put a little collar of pastry around the top there. That's to help the top stick to the base there. How's that coming along? I tell you what, we'll put it in now, because of course in the oven, that'll all sort of melt down and be absolutely marvellous. So I'll have that over.
There you go.
Gorgeous. Okay, that can go on there. We are doing this at 350 miles an hour, but it is going to be absolutely sensational, believe me, with all that peel and those cloves and those cinnamon. Is this good or what?
Obviously, if you've got slightly more time to actually let that syrup and the butter melt, that's more of a syrup, but as Greg said, that's going to melt in the oven anyway. Now, we just need the one pastry lid on this, okay? So we've got the pastry cut out here.
Yes, of course, we haven't put the pastry underneath it. I always found that you actually don't need it, do you? That's absolutely wonderful.
That's entirely up to you, whether you want a double pastry crust or not, but we'll just stretch that to meet over the edge there.
Okay.
And then, of course, all we have to do is to crimp it.
So they're going to crimp that up there. Now, basically what you do while Max is crimping away there, and remembering to put a little slit in the top to let the steam out, you put that in a preheated oven at 400 degrees, 200 degrees, that is gas mark 6 for 20 minutes. How are we doing over there?
Yeah,
I'm going to pop
pinching
that
those two edges together
into the oven, and then you put it in a reduced oven, 350, 180, gas mark 4 for another 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, move that out. Okay, lovely. I'm going over to the oven here. Get the oven going. Oh, it's no good me pretending that's hot as stone cold. There we are. Going to pop that over there like that. that is looking absolutely sensational. You can, of course, just decorate it with the little leaves there. It looks so wonderful. That syrup is just the best, I have to say. Do try this recipe. It is just absolutely marvellous. It is the best apple pie I've ever tasted.
Wonderful, actually, if you serve it with cheese. Some people actually put cheese on the inside. There is a little poem.
Yeah, dots of cheese.
An apple pie without the cheese is like a hog without the squeeze. There you go.
I'm sure that's Shakespeare.
You could actually serve that with cheese if you wanted to, but that wonderful syrup that goes on the inside makes it beautifully flavourful and just a cut above the ordinary apple pie.
Globs of cream, great big clubs of clotted cream or double cream, absolutely perfection, I'll tell you.
Okay, now, if you want another idea for a presentation tip.
I think so.
If we do we want that?
Over here.
Well, let's go over and down here. Okay, now then, take a little look at what we've got on the table here. What we've actually got are some beautiful pastry shells. In fact, if you want to look let me just hold one close to you. If you look there, you can see that beautiful, real, natural shell, which is right next to a shell that's made out of pastry. And just in case anybody should ask you, where did you get your pastry shells?
Where did you get your pastry shells, Max?
Don't tell them. Don't tell them, because you actually were very, very clever, and you made them yourself.
Exactly. Actually, you can get these cockles and jack shells. Did you just say?
No.
You didn't say this. Oh, well.
Scallop shells.
Scallop, yeah, it's marvellous. From your local fishmonger, they cost about 30 to 40p each. You can see all the detail there on the back, and that is picked out in the pastry. Okay, I'll show you what you do. All you do is, your oil.
Okay.
You get your oil first.
What you do, do the pastry on the back of the shell, so take a little bit of butter like that, rub it on, and the reason you're doing this is because you're actually going to put the pastry over the back, and this will make sure that it then doesn't stick when you put it into the oven. Okay,
absolutely brilliant. Okay, we've got our sweet pastry. We're just going to pop that in there and work all the way around there. I'm using my thumb here, which is just absolutely
all you have
perfect.
to do is make sure that the pastry doesn't go on the underneath of the shell, because when it bakes, obviously, that would make sure that it would stick. All right? So basically, you put that in the oven. Essentially, it's rather like baking it blind, because, of course, you put that in, and when it's nice and golden and complete, you bring it out of the oven, and because it's had butter on the underside, let it cool down slightly, and you can simply lift it off.
Flick it off. It's marvellous. It does come off, I swear, and it picks up all that wonderful detail. A little creme pâtissière, some fruit, and a glaze over the top there. They will think you are absolutely wonderful.
And they'll be right, because you've been watching this programme, and sadly we have reached the end of it. It's been wonderful being with your company, and I hope you've enjoyed Sweet Things with Greg and Max.
Definitely. If you didn't get all the recipes, you can, of course, send for the fact sheet, but until we see you next time, goodbye from us.
Bye-bye.
A look at Chicago's impressive modern buildings, and there's demolition work to be done with Bob Wheeler. Next, Home Again. To get a free fact sheet for this series, send a postcard to Sweet Things with Greg and Max, Discovery Home and Leisure, P.O. Box 41, Ware, Hearts, SG12 9EF.
Number 5, fishing.
So, let's fish. Oh, and again. Screw. And again. Oh, I've got one.
There's lots of fishing in our new season, but not with Russell Harris. He helps to build houses. These 4 walls this afternoon at 2:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
The new Grattan catalogue is out now, and it's full of fantastic fashion. For your copy, call 0800 313 313. You can spread payments at no extra cost. Order top brand names one day and wear them the next. You even get a big 20% off your first order. So call 0800 313 313 now for your new Grattan catalogue.
Morning.
Morning, Dad.
Oh, yeah, I must sort out that loan. But I can't get to the bank.
Hello! There's a more convenient way to get an unsecured personal loan.
Call Lombard Direct, free on 0800 215,000. 24 hours a day.
And what's more, there's now a special 1% discount of the APR on loans of £5,000 and over.
One call to Lombard Direct, and you're laughing.
To arrange your loan or for more information, call now, free on 0800 215,000.
Life can be intensive on your skin. Cold roughens it. Wind blasts it. Water dries it out. Your skin can become dry like an arid landscape. Vaseline Intensive Care works intensively to fight dryness and so put the life back. Vaseline Intensive Care.
Well, it's maybe Monday, but I hope you're enjoying your day. Your early afternoon viewing on Discovery Home and Leisure continues in half an hour with Joe and Ed's Furniture on the Mend. Then the final week of building work begins in these four walls. Now, though, it's time to join Bob Beeler.
Hi, I'm Bob Beeler. Welcome home again to our brand new project here in Newton, Massachusetts, where we're adding on to a little colonial revival house. Today, we're going to be taking you through the whole process of getting started. We'll be excavating, and we're a little bit scared. I think there's a lot of rocks and ledge back there. We're also going to be putting our footings in the ground and showing you the whole process of creating the foundation for the addition. And we'll take a tour of a concrete factory in downtown Boston. Stick around. It's good to have you home again. Well, I guess there's no doubt that we've broken ground around here. And to get a better understanding of the process, let's talk with Paul Morse, our general contractor.
Morning, Bob.
Let's get in the hole. Now, you guys started digging here just last Friday, right?
Yes, we did. We dug and did very well halfway around. And then John came in and started setting the footings here.
John Harrington, hi. How are you? Let's talk about the footing, because that is the first step after you've excavated. And this is the most important part of the foundation wall in many ways. What's the size of the concrete?
Okay, the size of the concrete, Bob, is 24 inches wide. It's 12 inches thick. It's a 3,000-pound mix with a 3/4-inch stone.
And is there a lot of reinforcing rod in it?
All right, for reinforcing rod, we have number 5 rebar bent at a 90-degree angle.
So we have these every 3 or 4 feet?
Every 4 feet vertical in the footing. Then it comes out of the footing 2 feet, and we tie horizontal bars inside the wall, 2 on the bottom. And
so
2 on the
that
top.
on the other side of this formwork, we've got these rods, and when we fill this up with the concrete for the foundation, we've got the two married together.
That's right.
But you've also got a keyway, don't you?
Yeah, we have a keyway, which we made by dragging a 2x4 through the concrete, and that gives us a place where the wall will lock to the footing.
Exactly. Now, you said a minute ago that you had a little bit of trouble finishing the dig. I mean, I thought this was going to be a very easy job to dig because of the soil conditions here, which are kind of sandy and dusty.
It started off very well, about halfway, Bob.
About halfway, huh? Well, we had the camera rolling, so while we're getting in the hole here, why don't you all watch this? I guess we're ready to break ground here, huh?
We are. We've got one small piece of deck that we didn't move out last week. We're going to put that over on the other piece and start digging for the foundation. This is Jim Hyder. Nice to meet you, Bob.
Jim, how are you? Good. That's a nice little machine you got here.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's very handy. We used to do a lot of work with the backhoes, and this is really putting the backhoes to sleep. Because a lot of times, after you start digging, you have no place to put the dirt.
Yeah. Look at that. He picked it right up.
There you go.
That's a lucky shot, I think. What do you call this machine?
This is a small excavator.
It is an excavator.
Yes, it is. And if you notice the little bulldozer blade on the front.
So you can keep the scoop up out of the way and use the blade on the front.
Exactly.
To push stuff around.
Yeah. In a matter of seconds, you have a bulldozer anytime you need it. It's very handy.
Now you've marked up the corners of the site, huh?
Yes, we have one corner here, and this goes back in.
So
goes over to that other corner there and back in.
So the new addition comes all the way out to here.
That's correct.
And up to this point over here.
That's the answer.
How deep does he have to dig?
He has to be setting on ledge 2 feet below grade.
But we don't know what we're going to find here because the only place that is evident is right here.
That's correct.
Where you have a big outcropping of the ledge and in a few other spots. And it's that stone that's very, very typical of this part of Massachusetts. It's called Roxbury pudding stone. And if we do encounter a lot of it,
we'll be able to set the footing on it, pin the footing, and work from there.
Let's get out of his way so he can start moving this loam around. right, now this is a little bit more of a problem, isn't it, guys?
Well, we found a bigger piece of rock here. We don't think it's ledge, but we do have a piece that's in the way of the foundation wall.
But we're not putting a basement in the addition, just a crawl space.
That's correct.
So we don't have to worry about taking out the whole thing. But how do we deal with this?
Well, I think the best thing to do is, rather than blasting it, okay, why don't we grab, I've got a machine over here with a jackhammer on it. We'll just chip away at it a little bit and take out what we need to take out.
Okay, looks like we should get out of the way then.
Yes. Okay, Bill, why don't you bring that in and see what you can do here.
It looks like the rock won.
It certainly did. We went on this for about 14 hours on this rock, and for the sake of timely fashion, to get this project, that's a small project, to be a profitable project, we really need to move on. So we're going to do a one-sided pour.
It wouldn't be cost-effective to have broken up all of this rock because we're not putting in a full basement, just a crawl space. And you'll cap this off, this area in here, with a thin slab, right?
That's correct. We may still have a small piece of the ledge showing here at the top through the one piece of the crawl space, but it'll mostly be smooth.
What about the gaps there where the formwork meets the rock? Aren't you worried that when you pour, it'll all slip out?
Well, what I'll do on that, Bob, is when the first truck comes, I'll take stiff concrete off of him and fill that bottom up 2 feet. Let it set for a while. We'll go to the other side, add some water to the mix. We'll bring that side up, and we'll come back here, and that will be set up nice and stiff so it will not slide off the ledge.
That's clever. Let's talk about the formwork, because I see that you haven't finished putting the forms together in the corner here. And this is pretty standard construction technology, plywood forms. Come in a variety of sizes. But we have an unusual detail in the foundation in that the architect's plan calls for a notched corner. And how are you building it here?
It's just a matter of putting a few extra panels in here, Bob, and what I'm about to do right now is put my 2 snap ties in, my bottom one and my top one. Okay?
Now the snap ties are holding the panels together, and after the whole thing is stripped, you just snap them off, right?
That's right, yeah. We knock the dogs off and take the panels off after that.
And do you have to tie all this rebar to it?
I do, Bob. What I'm doing is I have to take some ties, and I'll tie them around the steel to the snap tie and secure it down.
This is to make sure that the steel ends up in the right position in the pour.
That's right, Bob. This way here won't move around when we pour and so forth. My next step will be to take my next form and throw that up. Make sure the wires are in the grooves.
Yeah, you've got grooves in all of these in between them. You can see one right here.
Right.
Where the snap tie sticks through.
Fit right into the groove. That's right. Okay, then we're going to have to clamp these together. That holds them together. Wires in the groove.
All right, is this one next?
Yeah, no, actually, Bob,
that's the other
bigger
side.
one is the next one.
Here you go.
Okay, thank you. Flip that around, and that's going to go in the corner, like so. And we have to put that up to the washers, and I have to nail it in place.
All right, so when's the truck coming?
About 20 minutes, Bob.
We better get cracking.
Yeah, we got to get moving.
This one fits right in here.
Yes. There you go.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
All right, I'll get out of your way. Paul, let's go look at that truck.
Okay, Bob.
I'll tell you, Paul, there's not much room between that elm tree and the side of the house. Okay, this is the really dry part of the mix.
Yes.
And that's why we've got to shovel it off. The rest of it's going to be a lot easier to put in place. But it'll still take about an hour to fill all these forms, right, John?
Yes, it will, Bob.
We're going to break for some messages, and when we come back, we're going to be touring the factory, learning all about ready-mix.
They prowl the streets in search of houses that others dare not touch.
Doesn't look too bad.
Two men proud of elegance and form. Two men called Steve and Norm.
Hey, Norm. Steve. Onward and upward.
This Old House with Steve and Norm this afternoon at 3:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure. Number 6, car maintenance.
Let's start with the place where most of the problems occur. The engine. The engine.
Firstly, check the oil level. You do that by taking a look at the dipstick, which is always easy to pull out. Oh, it should be anyway. No!
There are programs about car maintenance in our new season, but not with Anthony Hem. He does gardening. The Great Gardening Plot, tomorrow at 10 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Imagine creating a sculpture one layer at a time, forming an amazing three-dimensional vertical puzzle. Sculpture puzzles. We've turned jigsaws into a work of art.
Morning.
Morning, Dad.
Oh, yeah, I must sort out that loan. But I can't get to the bank.
Hello! There's a more convenient way to get an unsecured personal loan. Call Lombard Direct, free on 0800 215,000. 24 hours a day.
And what's more, there's now a special 1% discount off the APR on loans of £5,000 and over.
One call to Lombard Direct, and you're laughing.
To arrange a loan or for more information, call now, free on 0800 215,000.
Hey, it's me, Dave Benson Phillips. Every day I'm going to be here on the Disney Channel for over 5 hours of learning and fun. What's that noise? With puzzles and games, stories and songs. And loads of great shows just right for your little ones.
This is Kermit the Frog of Sesame Street News.
With a drop of the Disney magic and 5 hours of learning and fun, it's got to be the Disney Channel.
You see, there's so many people with bad manners now. They don't say please, they don't say thank you, they don't say excuse me, they don't open a door for a woman.
Just because some little pipsqueak says that we got to do something, it's all yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full. I'm sick of it. I've had enough to hear, honestly. We want to do what we want to do. What we want is we know what we want. We want to stick with what we want. We want separate, different things.
Talk radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Brilliant. A perfect sweet and sour, or as we say it in Scotland, a number 32.
Home Pride cooking sauces. Authentic flavours from all around the world.
Premium scandalous for your car insurance.
Insurance costs stupid, just stupid.
Absolutely dreadful.
Premium Search, problem solved, phone soon.
Call Premium Search on 0800 109876.
Premium Search have special arrangements with top insurers, so you can get very good rates without cutting quality of cover.
I saved the packet.
Extremely good value, I'd say.
Premium Search, problem solved, phone soon.
Call 0800 109876. We're here 24 hours a day, every day.
We all want to do the best for our family. Well, now with HSA Superplan, here's a way you can reduce the cost of family healthcare. HSA Superplan gives all your family vital cash at times when you need it most. For as little as £6.40 a week, a family of 4 can claim up to 21 super cash benefits, including up to £9,100 of hospital care benefits, £480 towards dental treatment, £448 towards optical care, £1,664 towards physiotherapy, and much more besides. Whether you receive NHS or private treatment, the cash is yours to spend however you like. No wonder nearly 3 million people are now covered by the HSA. To receive a free information pack, just call free on 0800 767 666. That's 0800 767 666. We're waiting to hear from you right now.
The challenge. Transform an empty room into a period room in 8 hours.
Right then, I better get going. We need a range, sink, flooring. Now, I like this list. Ticking things off. You've got my dresser!
Annabelle Giles is your host.
There's an hour to go, and there's nobody here.
For Period Rooms, Sundays at 12:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Boston Sand and Gravel has been located here since the 1960s. The company dates back to the early part of the century. Anyone traveling through Boston will realize that the company is literally ringed by endless expressways. Jean-Marie Boylan, vice president of the company, will give us our tour. Jean-Marie, we've just received a batch of your concrete at our job site out in Newton. But here you are mixing concrete practically in downtown Boston. Tell me, where does the raw material come from? How do you get it here?
Well, we bring our raw material from a number of sources. Our sand material comes from Ospey, New Hampshire, and it arrives by rail. Our aggregate is trucked in locally, and the cement comes by barge from Ravenna, New York, to a local location in Charlestown, and then it's trucked over here.
And that, of course, will be Portland cement.
That's Portland cement.
Coming down here. Okay, now, how does the process start? How do you mix it?
The orders come into central control. That's where the customers call, tell us how much concrete they want, what time they want it, and what mix they want.
What specs, what strength?
That's right, that's right. The fellows in there, they take the orders and they schedule them for the day. That's kind of the brain center of this operation.
And so they have to keep track of not only where it's going, how much it's going, what it's costing, but what the strength of it is.
Correct.
And what time it's got to arrive there.
Timing's very important.
Now, when one of these trucks is fully loaded, it's got about 10 or 12 yards, right?
10 yards of concrete.
What would that weigh?
Well, a yard of concrete is about 3,800 pounds.
So 38,000 pounds on top of the weight of the truck.
That's correct.
So where does it all get mixed?
Right over here in the batch plant. Bob, this is plant 1, and here's a truck pulling under the boot right now. But the real activity is up overhead, up above us. Up above us is the concrete plant.
Stand by.
And we've got a central mix plant in this location.
All right, so all the material gets up there and gets mixed up top there.
The aggregate comes up by conveyor belt and is held above the plant, and the cement is blown up into bins above. Then Lenny has just kicked off a batch here, and he's weighing, right now, he's weighing the materials to go into this load. When the scales are full and we've got a full batch up there, it'll drop into the central mix drum. It'll mix the load, and then it'll put it into a holding hopper before putting it into the truck.
How many yards fit into that central drum?
It's a 10-yard drum, and it will hold a full 10 yards.
That's amazing.
After it goes into the truck, then the truck will go down to the lab.
What about quality control?
That's where we'll go down to the lab and take a look at them taking some tests.
Let's go. Jean-Marie, what happens at this stage?
Well, Orman has just taken this sample off of the truck, and he's now going to take a couple of tests to make sure that the quality of the concrete is what we would want it to be.
And which is the test that he'll perform here?
Orman's going to take the temperature, and there goes the thermometer. And since it's a hot day, we want to make sure that it's the right temperature. He's going to take a slump test to test the consistency of the concrete.
Orman, do you do this to every single batch that goes out of here?
Yes, we do.
So you've got a metal cone, and you're simply filling the cone shape with the concrete.
Yes.
Is there a set number of times that you got to put the rod in like that?
We want to fill the cone in 3 equal layers, and we want to rod each layer 25 times.
And of course, the main thing that we're trying to determine here is the strength of the concrete.
This will measure the slump of the concrete, the consistency, and the strength of it. Frequently, a contractor will specify a certain slump, knowing that he needs it to either be more or less pliable and able to flow on a certain job site.
What's the PSI on this batch?
This is a 3,000 3/4 mix.
Which means it's 3,000 pounds per square inch and 3/4 inch aggregate.
That's correct.
Pretty typical load.
That's our standard mix. Orman's now going to lift the cone off slowly. Takes slowly and steadily. And he's going to turn the cylinder over. And he will now measure the deflection of the concrete. What have you got there, Orman?
Okay, we have 5.5 inch slump.
5.5 inches. That's a fairly typical batch of concrete.
Okay, so is this the last step that goes out to the job site now?
No, after this, the driver will pull out to the washdown area, wash his truck down so we don't leave remnants of concrete around the city of Boston.
That's why the trucks all look so nice.
Well, we hope so.
Let me interrupt you here a minute, Paul. Actually, that looks like a handy tool for breaking off the snap ties.
It's actually just a jack handle for good leverage on it.
It's a jack handle, and these things just break right off. You don't want to leave them there because you don't want rusting metal around here, do you?
Safer to work around too, that's correct.
Now let's talk a little bit about the condition of the concrete work. It looks nice and smooth. Did you have to vibrate this?
No, we just shook it. Came out very well. You can see most of the way along. There is a little bit of, where we did the early pour, there is a little bit of honeycombing over here.
That's right. Now this is where we poured it drier on the bottom because we had the ledge on the other side and we didn't want it to slip out.
That's correct.
And you see a little honeycombing, but that shouldn't be a problem here.
No.
Are you going to waterproof the foundation?
No, whereas this is just a crawl space and not a living space, then we don't need to do that. Plus we have a great slope here for draining the water away.
Now what are you waiting for to backfill?
We have to wait for the inspector to get here. He should be here shortly, and then we're ready to go from there.
Okay. And the fellows are still doing takeoffs back there, just to make sure the top of foundation is good and level?
That's correct. We've checked it here. The sill seal's on, and we're ready to put the pressure-treated sill on.
The sill seal is a real important part of the beginning of construction because this sandwich of insulation will really compress when you put the sill, the wooden sill on it, to prevent any cold air infiltration in between the top of concrete and the bottom of that sill.
That's correct.
Looks like this piece is all ready to go, huh?
We're all set. We have pressure treated. If you'll give me a hand.
The PTL 2x6 pressure treated lumber is very, very important because you want something that is going to go in contact with concrete, which retains damp, to be pressure treated lumber to avoid any rot in the future.
Yes, that's correct. You just want to set your first hole there.
Yep. Looks good. And this is kiln-dried lumber.
Yeah, this will start the framing material.
We got it upside down?
Yes. It should be about 6 inches back.
And so we make the transition to kiln-dried lumber for the rest of the house frame because we know that won't twist and check.
That's correct.
All right, so while we're waiting for our inspection, we can start putting the nuts and bolts together here. Always a ring washer and tighten them up. So, Inspector O'Regan, what is it that you have to look for when you're doing your inspection here at the foundation level before we can backfill?
This morning I'm just here to check the structural integrity of the foundation and to see if damp proofing is going to be required. From what I see from looking at the plan, it's going to be a slab on grade.
Inside there, yeah, it's a crawl space.
An interior slab, so there'll be no damp proofing required. So, as far as I'm concerned, you can backfill the foundation at any time.
So it's a visual inspection, right? Yeah, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Does that mean you get to autograph this for me?
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much. This is going to take another couple of hours, but we're out of time. Come home again next week when we'll be building the frame for the whole edition. Till then, I'm Bob Vila. It's good to have you home again.
If you've ever liked the idea of doing a spot of marbling, I don't mean the game we played at school, then Joe will be preparing a maple table next, ready for its marble finish, in Furniture on the Mend.
Number 5, fishing.
So, let's fish. Oh, and again. It's true. And again. Oh, I've got one.
There's lots of fishing in our new season, but not with Russell Harris. He helps to build houses. These 4 walls this afternoon at 2:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
The new Look Again catalogue is here, with all the latest fashion. To get yours, call 0800 224 223. There's big brand names, easy interest-free payment, and next day delivery when you just can't wait. So call 0800 224 223 for your Look Again catalogue. Look Again, the big name in fashion.
All the best of Christmas fare, campers, all your favorites will be there. Campers, shopping vouchers for the high street. All your family you can now treat. Campers.
To become a Park Campers agent for Christmas 1998, call free on 0800 58 68 78 to receive your free catalogue. Pay from only 50 pence a week.
Spread the cost over 45 weeks. And as a park agent, you could receive a free gift and earn up to 25% commission. You could even win a share in our £30,000 free prize draw. So call free on 0800 58 68 78 to become a Park Campers agent for Christmas 1998. Park Campers, the biggest Christmas savings club in the land.
Keeping your home running smoothly is expensive enough these days. When you have a young family as well, the bills come even faster. Would your family be able to cope financially with the loss of a partner? How would you manage if you had to take care of your home, your children, and pay all the bills on your own? From just £8 a month, Sun Life could insure you, so if the worst happens, there's a large cash sum to help your partner carry on, or to provide for the children. And unlike most life insurance plans, after 15 years protection, this one also pays out a cash sum if you don't die. That's why we call it Money Back. Call now on 0800 60 80 40 for full details of the Sun Life Money Back plan and a personal quotation. There's no obligation, no salesman will call, and you can choose a free gift to welcome you as a policyholder. Give those who depend on you the financial protection they deserve with a life insurance plan that pays out cash if you die and cash if you don't. Money Back from Sun Life.
This is the National Emergency Alert Service. We interrupt this program to bring you the weather. Weather conditions are becoming more extreme. Be there. And past this blew away. A major new series, Raging Planet, tomorrow at 9, only on Discovery Channel.
Do you want the key to more information? Do you want to know the time of your favorite show or that recipe you've just seen? Home and Leisure Text has all of the useful information you need. Listings, highlights, what's coming soon, plus pages on hobbies, crafts, even recipes. In fact, everything you'd expect from the channel that shows you how. For more information, just key it in. Text 200. The answer's in your hand.
Number 10, refreshments.
Put the tea bag into the cup, pour the boiling water over the tea bag. Now, if you're like me, you probably would like to speed it up just a little bit by stirring it. And of course, add sugar and milk to taste. Delicious.
Well, sure, Dean makes a great cup of tea, but he's far better at DIY. See for yourself in Hometown, tomorrow at 11:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Russell Harris oversees the final week of house building in these four walls in 30 minutes. Now it's the furniture that needs attention.
Next time. Here we are at the beautiful Philadelphia Academy of Music.
But what surrounds us is not real marble. No. It's painted marble, or faux marble as it's come to be called.
And marbleization goes back to Roman times.
Oh, it goes back further than that, Ed.
Further?
It goes back to Mycenaean times.
You mean like three-blind Mycenaean?
That's right. Now, the Romans did use marbleizing. They employed it when doing columns. They would use colored plasters into which they would set their graining. And they would use it also in places where it would be near to impossible to get real marble up and into, like a dome or
You mean a dome
or
vaulted
ceiling, right?
Well, what you see around you here is a beautiful restoration project done on a 19th century marbleization. Philadelphia Academy of Music, built in 1857.
That's right, and 130 years later, 7 to 11 coats of paint, they decided to restore it, and the actual restoration was done in the summers of 85 and 86. It was beautiful.
Around the Academy, you'll be able to see the original marbleization in places covered by panels made of lucite.
I love lucite.
Ricky.
Oh, what's the lucite for? Well, the actual workmen who did the restoration, they had to match the exact color and sinuous grain markings because this is an historical building, so the restoration had to be perfect.
Yeah, and And this is an example of what you two can do if you have a concert hall or an opera house and 2 summers to work.
But if you have an ugly piece of furniture in your garage, a lonely fawn sitting there, weathered, you want to transform it, we can show you how to do marbleizing, and we're going to get to that next. So let's get back to the shop.
Come on. Come this way.
No, this way.
No, this
the door's
way.
over here.
No, it's over
the door's
here.
over
This
here.
way.
The door's
This.
over here. Now we're ready to execute our piece.
It looks like it's been
It's
executed.
been executed already. I took it apart. This is what we got from Sam the Junk Man, if you remember that exciting episode last week.
Very good buy.
Yeah, for $3. And I took it apart because it's a lot easier to work with apart. You have 3 separate canvases, so to speak.
So you can execute a beautiful picture.
On each one.
On each one.
Because
in turn.
each marble panel will have a different sinuous.
I like the way you put things.
Yes.
Come on, let's go.
So, okay. So what we're going to use first is we're going to use this electric paint remover here. This is the prototype to the modern-day heat gun. It's got a filament in it that heats up to about 900 degrees. With that, I'm going to use a scraper that I will use to scrape the paint. With this, you'll be able to scrape a wide surface area of paint. And I'm using this purposely because last time we showed you how to use the chemical remover. This is going to get the paint off in half the time. And it's also going to save you money on remover.
And you apartment dwellers, you can use it to toast bread.
Yes, 1 or 2 pieces, or a large piece of rye. Here's a chisel that I'm going to use to scrape the edges off, and a wire brush that I'm going to use in conjunction with the paste remover. After the paint's off, I'm going to apply some paint remover to remove the lacquer undercoating that was on here originally.
This is, what kind of wood is this?
This is maple.
Maple.
And we'll see the maple once we remove the paint.
So do you see all these little spots?
Yeah.
There's 4,742 spots on that.
Oh, yeah?
You gotta strip it.
Well, we got to strip it.
Strip it.
It's got to be stripped. Got to be stripped.
Gotta strip it.
Got to be stripped.
Strip it.
Okay.
Let's go.
And once it's stripped, we're going to sand it down, and then we're going to apply a primer of flat black paint because the marble that I'm going to try to achieve is a green, white, and black serpentine marble. It's going to be very pretty.
So that's on the flag of Kenya, I think.
Mm-hmm. Can you shut up? Okay. So we're ready to go. Here is the EPR. It's very hot right now.
EPR, I took a course in that. I can save people now.
I knew you were going to say that. If you would, please, remove that, because I don't want it near the heat.
Remover?
Remove that remover. Now, the trick is with this, is you want to hold it over the painted surface. You'll see smoke appearing. Make sure you wear a respirator when you do this, because you don't want to breathe in the smoke.
Not the dust mask
Can you
now.
see it? Can you see it bubbling there?
The respirator.
Now, once you get good at this, you can remove at least 5 coats of paint at once, holding the scraper. Let's see. It's coming. A little bit more.
Just rest it right on there.
Oh, now it's beautiful. Now we got it.
Amazing.
It's coming. It'll take you a while to get used to this and to sustain a rhythm.
And let me tell you, my friends, it smells like, what, Sheepshead Bay in August.
That was a good line.
Come just right out of some file cabinet.
File cabinet is endless in your brain. Very big one.
Well, if this show doesn't go, it's jeopardy for me.
Can you see this coming off?
Of course we can. I can see it.
Good. Just wanted to make sure everybody was able. Catches fire.
A little bit of flame.
Goes out a little bit.
There's no problem.
But that's the general idea. Okay, we got that out of the way. Now I'm going to, this edge here, I'm going to scrape with the side of this chisel. Chisels all have a very, even though it feels blunt, it's very hard metal. And it can be used as a scraper, as you can see. Because it is a narrow, flat surface, you can get away with doing this. Now I'm going to do one of these pilasters.
I got pilastered last night.
Which is the back of the piece, of course. And since I'm
Columns.
scraping the edge, I'll scrape the edge on these.
Scrape that edge. Keep your respirator on even though you're not burning it off. So there's little paint chips in the air.
Unfortunately, we can't talk to you. I wanted to do a whole show with subtitles wearing masks, but they said we can't do that.
They say when we go into foreign markets, we can do that.
Yeah. I'm going to use a wire brush with this.
Why a brush?
Why a brush? Why not a chicken?
Go.
Because Can't get a scraping implement in there.
That joke is carbon dated, my friends.
Yes. The paint will easily be scraped off. And it is maple, so it's a strong wood. It's not going to be damaged by the wiring.
But what about the wiring on this old piece?
And it's going to be sanded anyway. What?
What?
You keep asking me questions. You know, I never bother you when you're on.
But I'm just being a surrogate for these people out there.
Please. I have to concentrate. I'm perspirating.
I know. You need a cup. A little cup dangling from your chin.
You stole that now. That's a blatant steal. So you just stand there like that.
I'm covering the label.
Okay, you can do that.
I like to feel needed.
I'm going to put this paste remover.
Protect any table that you might have this on with a tarp.
Now,
protect your hands.
I'm going to have to pick this up, so on go the gloves.
Big gloves.
These are from the last show, remember? Acid gloves.
They look like they're from the last century.
Paint a little on the sides.
This is going to get any residue.
This will pull everything off.
Out of the grain.
So there's one. Put it in the oven. Now, when you're using remover and you start scraping with the brush, and that paint that's on there is coming up, as you can see.
Tempura batter.
You know that you're ready.
For stripping.
For stripping.
It's moving around.
As we are doing, see?
Everything's going away.
It's actually the ferrule of the brush here, it's metal, that I'm using in conjunction with the bristles of this cheap, inexpensive, throwaway brush. Mentioned a cooking show earlier. Give me the casserole pan, will you? You remember these, don't you?
What are you going to do?
Planer chips?
What are you going to make?
Look, I'm going to make something very familiar looking in the kitchen called a big cutlet. Remember? Planer chips, rubbing with the chips around all surfaces.
And it smells good, too.
Remember, the chips aren't abrasive because they are wood. And we are lucky that this wood is maple. That's what it is, if I hadn't mentioned it. Did I mention it was maple?
Yes, it's maple.
Yeah. And maple's a very tough, durable, hard wood, very close-grained, and excellent for marbleizing.
This has got sort of a deco look to it, this piece.
Yeah. Now, another good reason for
a lot of maple
for marbleizing a piece, especially this one, if you can see these black marks, these are stains.
Wow.
That's the stain. This is a stain. And
wow, he feigns interest.
Yeah. So you would either have to resurface this board in order to get that stain out, or you can do a painted finish, which vis-a-vis the marbleizing.
Remember, get the planer chips from a lumber yard. Any friends you might have who have a wood shop, if you take a big trash bag to a lumber yard and say, can I fill this up with planer chips? They'll look at you like you're crazy and say, sure. Or they'll say, hey, I watched that show too. Give me $10 for this.
That's
then
right.
go to the next lumber yard.
We have our little bucket into which we will pour the denatured alcohol. If you're working on a piece this small, try and put your solvent into the bucket. That way, whatever falls is going to fall into the bucket, not all over your floor or your grass, which you don't want to do.
Use the respirator again, unless you want to relive the Pink Floyd concert of your choice. What's next?
We're ready to sand and then put our primer on. Remember, white primer for the pilasters and black for the shelves. I'm using a 220 garnet paper. Now these areas right here, which is in fact the top of the pilaster, centerpiece, and the bottom piece.
Awesome.
These are going to be glued when it's all completed, and I want to put tape over those, but I'm going to sand them first. The reason for the tape
is so that the glue does not settle to the tape.
So I'll do those first.
What?
The glue settles
to
the
the tape?
No, so that the glue adheres to the wood.
Rather than to the paint.
Right, which
I got it.
Would then not bond.
Bond, not bond.
Oh, these two blocks, what are they doing there? Well, it's just to elevate the piece. When I put the primer on, so that I'm not putting paint on the table. This very nice, clean table. As I put the tape there, you try and stay away from that as much as possible.
Black as midnight. Remember, this is our background on which marbleizing magic shall take place.
The foundation.
You have to wait for it to dry to see if you want to...
Hold this, please.
Sure. If you want to add more, if the old wood or whatever's underneath comes bleeding through, then add your second coat of primer.
Yeah. Let it dry, sand it down lightly with some 280 finishing paper. Apply a second coat, if you want. Now we do the white.
I'm glad I could help.
With the mighty white. These have all been stirred already, and they're both oil-based.
Always shake up your cans. You have a can shaker in the shop, but you just might want to do the boom chicka boom around your living room for about a half hour.
Or ask the nice man, or the unfriendly man at the hardware store or paint store
unfriendly.
to shake it.
Now you're more...
I go to a hardware store and I say, you don't have to shake those mixed colors because I have a paint mixer. And he says, I shake everything.
Do it anyway.
He's got drills, and he's got saws, he's got a nailer, he's got a sander, he's got a router, a jigsaw, a bigger saw, a biscuit joiner, a thickness planer.
He's got the best tools in the world.
He is Norm Abram, and this is the new Yankee Workshop, tomorrow at 10:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Number 9, tire maintenance.
Now the first thing you need is, and then you need to get one a bit bigger. Make sure that your jack is up to lifting the vehicle.
There are programs about vehicle maintenance in our new season, but not presented by Tim Grundy. He prefers to travel. Two's Country this afternoon at 3 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Look what's cooking this autumn from Lakeland Limited. Our new 80-page catalogue is packed with hundreds of new creative kitchenware ideas designed to make your kitchen easier to work in, bright and cheerful to live in. So for value, choice and easy home shopping, call 0800 597 0800 now for your free Lakeland catalogue.
Do you wake up suffering from aches and pains? A reason could be your bed. That's why more and more people are discovering the joy of getting a good night's sleep with an Adjustomatic adjustable bed. Adjustomatic beds can give comfort to sufferers of a wide range of conditions. Contour the position of your bed for maximum support. Put your feet up to read or relax, or sit up to watch television. Adjustomatic's Easy Reach facility keeps your bedside table right beside you. Find out how you could get a better night's sleep and wake up feeling refreshed. Call 0800 80 5000 now for a free copy of our Good Sleep Guide and brochure. That's 0800 80 5000. Adjustomatic, your first choice for comfort, quality and service.
Hey, it's me, Dave Benson Phillips. Every day I'm going to be here on the Disney Channel for over 5 hours of learning and fun. What's that noise? With puzzles and games, stories and songs. And loads of great shows just right for your little ones. This is Kermit the Frog of Sesame Street News. With a drop of the Disney magic and 5 hours of learning and fun, it's got to be the Disney Channel.
A year ago, renowned sculptor John Bromley began one of his most prestigious commissions to date, working closely with the artists of Royal Worcester to create an unprecedented work of art. Today, we proudly unveil the Royal Worcester Figurine of the Year 1997, an exclusive collector's edition only to be produced during 1997. Admire the elegant tilt of her bonnet, her heart-shaped face, the pink rose at her waist, her graceful flowing gown. This handcrafted figurine encapsulates centuries of Royal Worcester craftsmanship, and the rarity is endorsed by the back stamp. To view this figure in your own home without obligation, call 0800 44 5455. Send no money now, and when you decide to keep her, pay in 4 monthly installments of just £24.50. The Royal Worcester Figurine of the Year is only available direct from Compton and Woodhouse. On December the 31st, 1997, the moles will be destroyed, and it will never be created again. This is the final offering of this heirloom, the Royal Worcester Figurine of the Year 1997. So call 0800 445455 now.
Yeah, great performance.
Hi.
You're brilliant.
It's Ken Douglas.
Yeah, well, I thought it was the best I've been all season.
Dad, you don't normally phone players after the match.
Who said anything about the players? I'm ringing up the crowd.
Good news for people making more calls. BT's first ever extra call sale. For 3 months, calls made over your average bill will get a 25% credit.
Only another 34,000 to go.
BT's extra call sale. It's good to talk.
Number 5. Fishing.
So, let's fish. Oh, and again.
True.
And again. Oh, I've got one.
There's lots of fishing in our new season, but not with Russell Harris. He helps to build houses. These 4 walls this afternoon at 2:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Hey, it's back to my favorite part, the upholstery segment.
Not my favorite part, but it is interesting. You have to agree.
We've done the springs, we've done the webbing, we've done padding on the seat, and we've put down our seat material. It's all nice and tight. Next step, inside back.
Thank you.
This is probably going to be the most complex part. When you take something apart, you're going to have to figure out what the first-time person, or even the person who did it the second or third time, did and how they did it.
How did they do it?
Well, when we took the inside back apart, we found this metal ring that went in a circle and that was tied in. It was actually tacked and tied with yarn, with hemp twine, into the inside parts of these arms, just like that. Now, when we took it out, we found the level.
You remember the line here?
Yeah, the level where it actually was, and we made a pencil mark. We're going to try and put that in. Why do we need a ring here? Well, because when the inside back comes down and is attached, the actual piece of fabric, it's going to come down over this and hook under this part of the ring and then get attached to the frame.
Right.
That's what's going to keep it from moving forward, because really there's no place for it to attach over here. So that's the way they did it. We're going to use these things. And these are called hog rings or U-nails or perhaps even
wickets.
Yeah, croquet wickets for the people of Lilliput. And we're going to bang these in, 2 across the top and 2 all the way down the side.
Level or parallel to that line.
Through that line. I'm going to use a framing hammer.
And I'm going to use a wonderful board
wrapped
with burlap so I don't damage, because I have to push down on this fabric so that he can get that nail down to the level.
I'm going to put it right about here.
Okay,
I'm going to back this with my knee so I can hurt myself. No, so that it doesn't give. Tap it in. These are quite sharp. Ooh, it looks good already.
First get a tack.
A sharp tack. I'm going to put in a second one. Here we go. Now it's going in. Now it's tied in at the bottom with the metal wire, tacked in with those little wickets side to side.
Look.
See, there's tension. And now we're going to pull this, and just like everything else, we're going to start tacking in the center.
What is this?
What is this? It's some kind of fuzzy muslin.
It's a fuzzy muslin.
It's a fuzzy muslin.
Okay.
I'm
going to hold this tight at the bottom.
There's a comedy concept in there. We haven't time to excavate.
Go. You had to put that line in somewhere, didn't you?
Because I wrote it.
It stinks, too.
All right, where am I going to tack? I'm going to tack to the front facing of this. If you can look closely, this is where they tacked in the last piece that was like this. Not to the back, but to the front. Now, what does this say? I don't know. What does it mean?
It was underneath somebody's name.
Somebody, Kilroy.
George Washington something.
George Washington reclined here. Okay. I have my friend.
With a finger.
My friend with the finger. Right down here. Put a tack in there.
Good.
Nice and secure. And just like everything else, I'm going to work from the center out, but I'm going to split the difference and try and get out as many wrinkles as I can, because this is the backing that everything else has to go on, and I want it have a nice soft curve. Keep pulling
We're
that.
going to have foam over top of this.
Yeah.
And under this wire.
Okay. And now I'm going to take it away. I'm getting my curve. I'm establishing my curve.
You have established your curve.
My curve is sure. See, we need to bang these in and make them very, very flush because we don't want any bumps.
No bimps, unless you want to go out and buy an air compressor.
Now we're going to, as we said, just like with the burlap and with the webbing, we're going to fold it over and put in another row of tacks right there. But look,
Trim
the
off the
curve
excess.
is too tight, so I must make the snoop
Or snap.
in order for this to come down. Hold it down like so. And get the staple gun once again. Start up from there. Got to make a nice deep snoop. All this will be trimmed off as excess. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
waiting.
You're going to wait. You're waiting.
Waiting for my part.
Waiting for your part.
It's like waiting for Godot.
Oh, this is the interesting part.
Yeah, I've been dying to see this part.
Scissor work. We're using foam now. Why? Because we have to build the back out. We have to build the back out to make it nice and padded and full before we add the cotton and the fabric. Sometimes you don't have to use foam. Sometimes you have to use 2-inch foam. Sometimes you have to use 1-inch foam. Can anybody guess what this is? It's 1-inch foam.
Now you got it
using
right.
1-inch foam. Now, first we're going to tack in at the front panels over here, and then establish our curve.
We're also going to tack a 1/2 inch in from the wood, right?
I was going to get to that.
Okay, well, I'm just,
Honestly.
you know, we're playing off of each other.
Yeah, I like to play golf off of you.
Yeah.
All right. Pulling it around. Now I'm going to have to...
Dandruff. Clouds of dandruff.
We have a lot of fun on this one. We're going to have to obviously trim it a lot, but I'm just going to put this up and lap it right, so at least I won't have to trim here. So we put a staple in there. I'm just going to put about 4 staples over here, and this is to hold it. I want it right up to the edge, like so. Okay, now around to the other side.
Around to the other side.
Now we're going to pull this around just to establish that curve and do the same thing over here.
And then this will be tucked underneath.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I'm sure they're anticipating what's coming next. This is
I'm
so,
sure everybody in
this is so
America
exciting.
is sitting on the edge of their seat and saying, where's that remote control box?
Saying, where's that fishing show?
Next, as my large partner has said, we are going to pull this underneath. Remember, we have the metal wire under here.
Look at what niceties.
We're establishing a lovely roll. Gosh darn it, doesn't this look nice? So when we pull the last piece, the fabric, over here, it doesn't get torn by the horrible abrasiveness of that wire. It's going to be padded and lovely.
There we
Then,
go.
now we've established tacks at both ends. And just as before,
Look,
remember...
you can see what's going to be happening.
Remember the order. We pull up from the center, and we put a tack.
1/2 inch.
1/2 inch from the top.
From the wood.
From the edge of that wood.
And
there we go.
Now that we're getting into this and then the fabric, you start taking your time.
Got to take my time. Hey,
Right.
good idea. Now,
A
we're
little
not
at
going
a
to...
time, just a little at a time.
A little at a time?
Right.
A little at a time.
I tell you that all the time.
All the time. A little at a time.
All the time.
All the time. Now, we're not going to put our tacks cheek by jowl
No.
over here because if we do, we're going to get an indentation. And then when we pull the fabric around, somebody's going to say, what is this, a little river?
And that'll
something?
happen all the time.
All the time. What is this, kind of a theme thing? So a couple of inches apart, pulling up, making sure that...
You're pulling, I'm rolling.
Yeah, you're rolling, you're pulling. 1/2 inch away from the top.
Feels good here.
Don't talk to me about such things. We're going with the angle of the actual back of the wood.
Why would you come to me to have something posted? Why don't you do it yourself?
I love that part. the foam is all cut all the way around. It's conforming with the curve of the back. We also made very careful cuts, smooth cuts, because when we pull the fabric over and lap the fabric over the top of the foam, we don't want anything bulging past that frame.
Making a lump in the back.
We don't want a lumpy back.
No.
Of course, if you do get a lumpy back, you can always stuff it right back in. Remember, in upholstery, as in almost everything else in life, you can make mistakes if you know how to correct them. We're going to pad the inside. Right here, we have a little bit of a valley, so we're going to pad a little bit extra here. We're going to put a half moon of cotton, which is F. Scott Fitzgerald early work. Half moon of cotton right in here, then another half moon of cotton, and then a full length of cotton, and then a full length of cotton over that. Not unlike the kind of program that we followed with the seat. I've got a general small piece of cotton here that we will rip.
General cotton.
General cotton. I'm going to lay it in here.
Lay it in there.
Now I'll even it up on the bottom where I feel it needs to be evened up.
Even it up.
And even it up. And I'll begin to feel where I think the indentation is. And rip away. Hi, that's all this week from this furniture show.
And he's him and
he's the other one.
Right, and this show is bye. Goodbye.
Good night.
I would not do that on camera.
Tony and his family are eager to move into their new house, which is really taking shape. The final week of building work begins in these four walls after the break.
They prowl the streets in search of houses that others dare not touch.
Doesn't look too bad.
Two men proud of elegance and form. Two men called Steve and Norm.
Hey, Norm. Steve. Onward and upward.
This old house with Steve and Norm this afternoon at 3:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Morning.
Morning, Dad.
Oh, yeah, I must sort out that loan. But I can't get to the bank.
Hello! There's a more convenient way to get an unsecured personal loan. Call Lombard Direct, free on 0800 215,000. 24 hours a day.
And what's more, there's now a special 1% discount off the APR on loans of £5,000 and over.
One call to Lombard Direct, and you're laughing.
To arrange a loan or for more information, call now, free on 0800 215,000.
We all want to do the best for our family. Well, now with HSA Superplan, here's a way you can reduce the cost of family healthcare. HSA Superplan gives all your family vital cash at times when you need it most. For as little as £6.40 a week, a family of four can claim up to 21 super cash benefits, including up to £9,100 of hospital care benefits, £480 towards dental treatment, £448 towards optical care, £1,664 towards physiotherapy, and much more besides. Whether you receive NHS or private treatment, the cash is yours to spend however you like. No wonder nearly 3 million people are now covered by the HSA. To receive a free information pack, just call free on 0800 767 666. That's 0800 767 666. We're waiting to hear from you right now.
These four walls, brought to you in association with Individual Homes, Home Building and Renovating magazine.
Bridge to engine room.
Is that you, Russell?
Hey, do you want a cup of tea, Tony?
What a good idea, mate. We're down in a sec.
In this programme, we follow the progress of Tony's house. Sean finishes off the roof tiling, and I'll be helping Tony fit some insulation panels to the underside of the roof. And why did Tony go for this high-tech water tank? Well, all will be revealed. So if you want to know how the professionals do it, then stay tuned.
So this is what you're thinking to put on then,
Well,
Colin?
at the moment, Tony, with the dimensions of the conservatory as you've got them, you won't actually create a ridge within the roof. So what we really need to do is take the conservatory out, project it out further from the house, so that we can create a ridge.
We've got room. We've got room, but that's that looks fairly waterproof to me.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Russ. Yeah,
Having a good week?
Yeah, not bad at all. This is Colin's come along to
Hello there.
talk to you about putting the conservatory on the back. As you know, this started off as a French window,
right?
Grew into a little bay window, into a bubble, and it's turning into a full-blown conservatory now.
Because I have to say, when I first saw the foundations down here, I thought, well, it's not very big. Why, why is it so small?
Well, it's
You're extending it slightly now.
It's the old thing. It's all cost-driven. It's the budgets. It started off, as I said, as French window, and it evolved. But it looks like we're going to have to go for a full-blown conservatory, mainly to get the roof ridge system in. As Colin says, it would look so much better.
Right. So as it stands at the moment, the roof will just come up to the house, whereas if you extend it, you'll get this ridge effect.
Create a ridge. There are other benefits, though, about having a ridge within the conservatory, not just the aesthetics feature, the decorative feature. There's also the ventilation feature, which is really important in a conservatory.
Of course.
And with this ridge system, it actually ventilates. It's weatherproof. It'll allow the rain to blow up here, but it can't bypass the rain baffle system.
Right.
This allows air to ventilate through, which basically has two benefits. In the summer, when you get a heat build-up within the conservatory, it'll allow the hot air to rise and percolate through the roof, keeping it cool. And in the winter, it will help to reduce any possible condensation, because again, ventilation reduces the
It's in line with the high-tech theme that we're into, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, talking about high-tech, I know that this stuff here is another one of your little, your little foibles as far as sorting out this problem of losing heat.
This is the warm squeeze, as it's known. It's designed to fit between the rafters.
That's amazing. Look at that. It's like a concertina.
It's like a concertina at the end, so it grips between the rafters. You can snap off these to any size you want. Snap off 1, 2, 3. You can glue objects.
The idea simply is if you put a piece of solid polystyrene in, it's going to be tough to get in and fix it there.
Absolutely.
Whereas this, just squash the sides in it goes.
It's self-adjusting and it's going nowhere.
That's so clever.
It's, yeah, the old warm squeeze idea is certainly appealed to me.
Very good. I like that. So what else has been going on?
We've had the plumbers in. We've had the first fix electricians in.
I tell you, this is one of the most amazing things, which I don't know whether you've actually realised, is that the whole point about having the construction like it's been is that when it's raining on days like today, guys like this guy here can carry on working.
We're straight into first fix very, very quickly. This is a major advantage of timber frame building, yeah.
So what's this guy doing?
This is Peter doing the plumbing. I think at the moment he's running some gas work, are you?
Yeah, we're just finishing the gas carcass off.
Which means what?
The gas pipe from the meter to all the appliances.
Right.
That's all.
So how many gas appliances have you got?
Well, really, we've only got the kitchen and the boiler up in the loft. But I'm also running a pipe through to the lounge in case future owners of the house want to put a gas feature fire in Inglewood.
You're thinking of
There
everything,
are some
aren't you?
sad people around who want to do that, you see, so I've got to think of it.
So that's looking good. And all this ducting up here, it's all now in place pretty much.
Yes, the
isn't it?
flying ductors have been in, the team of duct erectors.
And all your plumbing here has been done in plastic pipe?
Yes.
All this stuff here, yeah?
Yeah, that's wonderful stuff. That's,
So why did you opt for this? I mean, what's the benefit
well,
of plastic as opposed to using
again,
copper?
it can be wired around the house very, very easily. It's bendable very easily. It stays put where you've put it. The unipipe stays exactly where you've put it. It's pressure to about 10 bar. It's made of a composite aluminium with plastic, which makes it oxygen proof also,
Yeah.
which is another major advantage with the underfloor heating.
So it's another move in the right direction as far
It's
as
another
technology
high-tech
goes.
solution to problems. Yes, why not investigate and go for them?
This is the kitchen. Any
the kitchen, yes.
any interesting things?
We had a very interesting... when the kitchen designer came to measure up for his units, we discovered that the window was in slightly the wrong place, would you believe?
You're joking.
No.
Mainly
When you
because...
say
slightly the wrong place, how much
Well,
of a difference?
what started the thing going, the original kitchen the wall for the kitchen was there. And a long time ago, we approached a kitchen designer and said, look, where do I put this wall in order to get a decent run of units in? And they decided that the wall should go there, 3,700, and the window move along to match. But unfortunately, the wall moved, but the window didn't.
Oh, I see.
So the window finished up slightly off-centre. Now, not a problem, we just chopped out the uprights, left the lintel in place, moved the window over 140 mils across, and put another upright in on a slightly bigger lintel.
And the job's a good one.
And away we go again. This is another advantage of timber frame. It's so flexible. It was literally an hour and a half, 2 hour job for a couple of joiners.
And of course, using the old traditional method, you could have done that.
It would have been a nightmare, that's right. But a slight hiccup which we overcame in Maple just came down and sorted that out for me in an hour and a half.
Now, when it stops raining, perhaps we can go out and have a look on the roof. What do you think?
Yeah, there's lots going on in the roof. There's lots to show you. Some opportunities arose up there.
All right. Are you happy with it then, Tony?
Yeah, it's worked out quite good now. Took a little bit of readjustment, but what happened was the combination of the warm deck roof and then the counter battens on those with these great big proctor nails sticking right through left just a little bit of sponginess when we were knocking the hip tiles in. So as we were placing the next hip tile on and knocking the nail in, it was shaking just that little bit and releasing the nails on the ones underneath. So we've resorted to screwing them down. You can get them bedded nicely down. You can screw it down to exactly matching the chamfer, and it saved all the shaking about. So they've gone absolutely rock solid firm now.
So you're pleased with that? Obviously,
yeah,
this
it's worked out.
Standard stuff.
Yeah, that's right. It's just well, what you do is put a bed of mortar in, and then that beds the thing, and then you can get it to exactly the right angle using that as your squash material. So it just sits on, beds down, that goes rock solid, and it's okay. Normally with a nail, it's not a problem. It's just in this particular situation, it just started to bounce a little bit. So the screw solved it.
So you solved that one, and the rest of it looks great.
Yeah, it's just very fiddly. Obviously, with a 40-degree pitch, it meant that every tile that comes along next has to be cut to that shape. With a 45-degree pitch, it wouldn't be, each next tile would sit exactly right on bond. But because you're going slightly narrower, each one has to be cut, which is why we've needed Sean to be sat there nibbling away with his nibblers.
I don't know how he does it, because his hand must be so sore.
He's got segs on his segs now.
The rest of it looks tremendous, and I love the way it's finished off up there.
It makes such a huge difference. Those finials have really set it off now. I'm very pleased.
They look the business, don't they? And I think what's really nice about it is that, you know, where you'd normally have the tile coming down the side.
Yes.
Because you don't have that, it finishes. It's so sharp.
That's right. It makes it superb. It's been worth the effort. Well worth the effort. Very pleased with that now.
So what are you up to here then?
Right, well, as you know, we decided on the profiles in the panel, and we now need to decide on the colour of the mortar. So we've got the brick here, which shows a variety of different colours that we could look at, and we've got some samples of mortar colours here.
How many different colours have you got then in total?
We've got 3 different colours, and we're going to put them all into the panel in bands so that we can make a comparison.
But in total, when you're looking at doing something like this, there must be 1,001 different colours you can choose.
Yes, there are. There are literally hundreds of different colours. There's usually a standard range of about 2 dozen, but they can do anything you like, really, within the normal earth range of colours.
So talk us through what we've got here and why you've brought them along.
Right. As you know, we were trying to match an existing building in terms of the brick and the mortar, and we brought some samples of different mortar. This is a lilac brown mortar, which is quite nice. But to give a bit of variety and make the choice a bit more difficult, we brought along a terracotta type mortar, which is more reddy, and you can see what would happen with that. It would tend to make the wall look quite red. And then finally a darker lilac brown, which in fact is my favourite for the feature.
Why is it your favourite, this one?
Well, I think it'll give you the right sort of subtle contrast between the brick and the mortar. And you can see there is a lilac-y coloured flash in the brick anyway.
So in a sense what you're saying is it would be an awful shame to have the wall all one colour.
Oh yes.
By using this and picking out one of the colours in there, it gives that nice contrast.
It gives a contrast between the brick and the joints. But remember also that the mortar is 20%, 18 to 20% of the wall area. So it does have a big impact on the final appearance of the wall.
Win a Victorian-style self-built conservatory worth £2,500. Just answer a simple question. Which one of the following is a type of brick? Is it A, a stick, B, a stock, or C, a stack? Phone the Home and Leisure hotline now on 0660 250 555 or write to this address. And you could be building your own Baltic Pine Conservatory.
Real Milky Way chocolate. Fluffy middle. Perfect. If you got a bad altitude problem.
Morning.
Morning, Dad.
Oh yeah, I must sort out that loan. But I can't get to the bank.
Hello!
There's a more convenient way to get an unsecured personal loan.
Call Lombard Direct, free on 0800 215 000. 24 hours a day.
And what's more, there's now a special 1% discount off the APR on loans of £5,000 and over.
One call to Lombard Direct, and you're laughing.
To arrange a loan or for more information, call now, free on 0800 215 000.
Brilliant. A perfect sweet and sour, or as we say it in Scotland, a number 32.
Home fried cooking sauces. Authentic flavours from all around the world.
Would you like a bigger salary, promotion, or maybe a new career? Call ICS now on this number to find out how to improve your prospects by studying at home for those essential qualifications. With ICS, it's so easy and enjoyable. You use the material provided to study in your own time and at your own pace. When you have successfully completed your course, you'll receive a recognised qualification or an ICS diploma as proof of your new skills. All your course material is delivered right to your door. You could learn bookkeeping, child daycare, child psychology, fitness and nutrition, TV, video and hi-fi servicing, PC repair, business management, hotel and catering management, desktop publishing, computer programming and many, many more. Improve your chances of getting the career you want. Call ICS now free of charge on 0500 30 33 55 for more information. That's 0500 30 33 55.
Grown-ups, will they grow up grumpy? My mum doesn't even know what fun is. Hi, Dad. They don't play. They don't go to the park. They do nothing. All they ever say is it's disgusting, it's filthy manners.
Now, as you know, Tony is into everything and anything high-tech. Anything that's going to save him a little bit of money. That's the bottom line at the end of the day. Certainly as far as heating goes. And they don't come much more wacky than this. Here to explain all is David Wright. What on earth is it?
Well, it's quite a simple piece of equipment, really. It's a hot water cylinder, an unvented hot water cylinder.
So this is the standard kind of system inside?
Yeah, that's the coil that would heat from the boiler. Then the cylinder fills up, and the air pocket is protected by this gap here, by this floating baffle. So that means that the actual air pocket will stay in situ. What it gives you as an end user is you get your hot water out at 55 litres a minute.
As opposed to what?
As opposed to 10 litres a minute on an average tank. So you're getting 5.5 times the output that you would get from a normal cylinder, which means in a house like this where you've got 3 or 4 bathrooms, you can run all the bathrooms, all the showers at the same time.
Which is what makes this man smile. That's right, Tony, isn't it?
What
We
it's all
couldn't
about,
miss you
that's
coming up those ladders. You have to get some oil on there, I think. This is it then, this is your pride and joy.
Superb, isn't it?
It's all the knobs and the little switches
I love it.
that
I
you
love
like,
it.
isn't it?
All these things play with. It's wonderful. Yeah. I don't want this one to go off though. That's the one I'm a bit jumpy about. It's one thing people are a bit bothered about with the unvented systems. It's you're cooping up hot water, boiling water,
Under pressure.
under tremendous pressure.
Well, there are 6 safety devices on this, so there's absolutely no chance of it going off.
Can I have that in writing?
You certainly can, yeah. This has to have a discharge pipe, this type of cylinder, which this is, and that's discharged outside. That's the, the final safety device that must be fitted.
Right.
You should have no problems whatsoever with it at all.
Well, the performance is what I've gone for, so it's got to get the pressure from somewhere, isn't it?
And this is simply because you want to be able to have a number of showers at the same time.
Yeah, there's 3 showers in the house and 2 baths. Who knows? They could well easily be all in use at the same time. This thing delivers the performance that I'm looking for, 55 litres of hot water a minute.
Right.
Under pressure, the hot and cold water come out under the same pressure, so that the mixing valves don't have any kind of traumas. They just cope with that.
I assume this piece of kit here is the boiler.
80,000 BTUs. How about that?
Oh my goodness! There's nothing in there.
I know. 80,000 BTUs out of that gizmo. It's incredible, isn't it? This is where it all happens. This thing whirls away the gas, churns it under pressure, recycles it, extracts all the heat out of the flues even, so that even the flue gases are used to heat the water. It's absolutely amazing.
There's no waste, because you have a problem with this, don't you?
Well, I have a problem with throwing heat out of the house, yeah. That's the ultimate waste pipe. That's
it's just a piece of
just
plastic.
a piece of plastic, because there's no hot flue anymore. That can be piped up to 10 metres away from the boiler in any direction, upwards, sideways, downwards, and it just throws away literally just the cold flue gas.
So this makes you a happy man here, because I know this is going to be what you're going to call your plant room.
The plant room, yeah.
Partitioned off, and I imagine on the door here it'll say, Tony's plant room, don't enter, or enter at your peril. You have lots of fun with this, aren't you?
It's going to be good. Well, I'm hoping never to look at it again. Lock the door and forget it, because they tell me that this thing, it just works. Same with all the other gizmos. They just really...
It's made from stainless steel.
Yeah.
Stainless steel, so it should never need any attention at all.
And in the old days, of course, you had the big header tank made of plastic.
And you could
Up
get
in the
the
lot.
birds dropping in it, mice in it, the lot. There's none of that. And in fact, this actual cylinder, in this situation, is fitted here in the loft space. But because it's mains pressure fed and there's no header tank, it could equally as well in the garage or in the cellar if you've got a cellar. It gives you complete freedom where you can actually install it.
Yeah, for me, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a nice package. It's simple, it's clean, and it makes Tony smile.
I'm sure it will do forever.
I'll tell you something, that really sets my teeth on it.
That's right. There is a sort of hot wire system which the rep's going to bring for me when I'm doing it for real.
A little bit quieter then, won't it? Right?
Well, yeah, I'll get away with all these polystyrene.
Right, they're getting everywhere, aren't they?
No. But I'm just having a go first of all. First of all, just to...
Had a case of dandruff there.
Just to try the system out, and then I'll devise a way of doing it a bit better later on.
Now, you've cut a mitre on this for what reason?
That's to go up in the roof. Eventually, the two mitres will meet to give me that meeting point at the top of 125 mil of insulation on top of the 45 already on the outside.
Right, well, don't let me stop you. I'm going to have a go at trying to fit this in here.
Right.
Just to help you out.
Yeah, you'll find it's ever so easy. It just squeezes in. If it doesn't quite fit, you just snap off one of these top bits. Tiny top bits. That's right. Just fine tune it. Run your finger down. Run your hand down. That's it. Now you find it should go in very nicely now.
Try that. Look at that.
Needs to be pushed right hard against the original stocking.
There we go.
That's it. Beautiful. Going nowhere.
I don't understand actually why you need all this insulation when you've got that there.
Need is a strange word. It's one of these, to get the U value in that roof, not only complying with building regulations but also exceeding them, that I've gone for this particular system, which is the warm sock and the warm squeeze combined, giving me 170 mils of polystyrene outside the roof. So it's way defeating any building regulation requirement.
Going way beyond it, obviously, and also you get sound insulation too. So it shows how this one goes up. You're already...
Well, that's right, I'll do the next one. In fact, it's just a little bit tricky in parts, obviously with the hips and valleys. And this particular bracing is now going to give me a problem. So what I've got to do now is saw this in half so that I can literally make it easier to go inside.
What's the foam for it then?
The expanding, yeah, that's just filling up the gap. That's just expanding polystyrene foam out of a tube, which is
Just to fill any last little gaps
yeah,
you've got there.
the last little bits under the top, they just fill those in first, that's right.
We can actually see where you cut that there on this piece here, can't we?
Yeah.
You actually cut that there simply just to enable you to get the thing into place.
Just to enable us to get it around this particular tricky bit, yeah. So it's just a straightforward again, we just saw that down the middle just to enable us to get it in easy.
Can we hold it for you?
I thought you were going to do it then for a second or something.
Okay, here you go. I'll have a go. I don't be accused of not helping you. Wait, how far?
Anyway, it doesn't matter because the two pieces are going together eventually.
Then I can handle it actually. My teeth really sets it off. Oh, that's beautiful. I need some earmuffs for this. Oh,
wonderful.
Oh, I hate it. You like that?
A couple of hours of this and we'll be all right.
Yeah.
All we've got to do now is offer that up to the top bit.
This is where it snows polystyrene.
Yep.
And this other piece as well.
Yep. Another piece will slide down now much easier.
Push it from here.
Yep. Beautiful.
Nice one. And of course what one would do is they've butted that up.
Yeah, we'll just shove that up now. In fact, you can do that now for me. Super job.
Now I've got to say, it strikes me, Pete, that we're starting this exactly at the right time. This is what you call perfect timing because the heavens are about to open. We're putting on the rain guttering here. What are the do's and don'ts about putting on rain guttering then?
Well, we've got to have a fall. We've got to start at a high point, have a fall that runs into an outlet, which is this here. We need a fall of about 5 millimetres every metre on the gutter clip.
So you have to work along, mark it off and drop it 5 mil as you go?
Yeah. Otherwise it tends to hold a little bit of water.
Right. And it's just a simple case of clicking
yeah,
these
just click straight in. Bit of spray on the rubber.
All right.
Just to lubricate the rubber.
Okay. And that rubber just seals it?
It just seals it, yeah.
Right. So we get a little bit of brute force as we fix that in there. That's the tough one, isn't it? Always is a little hard one to do that. Can you manage it?
No, that one's
Do you
not
want to slide
right.
it in? Shall I pull it out the other end and slide it along? Stick this quickly along here. Manage?
Just a second.
There you go. If I slide it along...
Let me just put this on. Right, okay. That'll do there now.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
So, click straight in.
Okay, smashing.
And I think they are going to get tested, aren't they?
We are going to get seriously tested today. Once you get the measurements right and once you get the level right, the rest is dead straightforward.
Oh yeah, straightforward.
He says.
Always it's just a preparation.
Excellent. Now, anything we need to think about on this return here, on the elbow?
Well, again, it's awkward because of the corner. What you tend to do first is to slot that piece in there.
Yeah.
And leave that last piece.
So this slides in here.
Yeah.
Just drop it in there, click it in. Have you noticed our sense of urgency at the moment? This is why it's actually pouring now. So that drops in there. Last piece of guttering going in because it's been finished all the way round.
And that's it.
Tony already owned a plot of land in Buckinghamshire. His mother needed to move to a new home on her retirement, so Tony decided to take the self-build route. He built a 2,000 square foot timber framed house in about 6 months. His mother is delighted with her new home. Land and building costs came to £210,000. Now it's completed, it's worth 38% more. Definitely a good idea. In the next programme, Tony's house really starts to take shape as the brickie starts laying the bricks. Tony is going to go in search of a staircase. Jim's going to be starting laying the drains. So, if you want to know how the professionals do it, watch These Four Walls next time.
If the only tram lines you know much about are the ones on a tennis court, well, stay with us as Tim Grundy looks at trams of the past that may be part of the future. Two's Country, next.
These Four Walls was brought to you in association with Individual Homes Home Building and Renovating magazine.
Sculpture puzzles. We've turned jigsaws into a work of art.
Hey, it's me, Dave Benson-Phillips. Every day I'm going to be here on the Disney Channel for over 5 hours of learning and fun. What's that noise? With puzzles and games, stories and songs. Go round and round. And loads of great shows just right for your little ones. This is Kermit the Frog and Sesame Street News. With a trip of the Disney magic and 5 hours of learning and fun, it's got to be the Disney Channel.
Brilliant. A perfect sweet and sour, or as we say it in Scotland, a number 32.
Home pride cooking sauces. Authentic flavours from all around the world.
There's so much more to look forward to in the new season's K's catalogue. Call 0500 111 414 for your free copy and get 20% discount off your first order.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas about Discovery Home and Leisure, so why not grab a pen and paper and jot down any suggestions you have, sending them to Discovery Home and Leisure, PO Box 846, Bristol, BS 99 5HR. Or if you're really itching to get in touch, you can give us a call on 0117 909 1222.
Take a journey beyond life as you know it and experience the unexplored.
I feel amazingly frightened and incredibly exhilarated.
Feel the thrill of exploration.
Woo!
And push back the boundaries with those who have ventured beyond the map.
My motto is life is adventure or nothing at all.
Beginning in the heart of the Amazon with the stunning new series Untamed Amazonia, the unexplored enters your homes tonight at 8 on Discovery Channel.
Number 18, Plant Life.
Let's look at plants. There's so many varieties. There's the yellow ones, and there's the red ones, and my favourite, the blue ones. They're dead easy to look after. You just give them a wee drink now and then. There we go, and of course a little trim. Best of all, they grow back next year.
There is gardening in our new season, but not with Kay Adams. She presents Wheel Nuts, part of Saturday Cars. Saturdays from 11 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
This Old House with Steve and Norm in half an hour. First, it was a train on Friday. Now they jump on the tram. Tim Grundy and Co. in Two's Country.
We're going, we're going, we're going, we're going, we're going through the country to show you how it's done. We'll spend the day together and we're sure to have some fun. To country, out for the day, we'll give you information and a laugh along the way.
What's that you've written? It's one of your stupid titles, isn't it? A Bridge to the Future. You think that's a TARDIS, don't you? Look, it isn't. It's a... Pick the camera up, will you? Right. But for once, you're almost right. A bridge to the future. The very thing we're talking about. We've got to stop polluting this planet. We've got to stop pumping out carbon monoxide. Gridlocking cities. We need something that's going to revolutionize transport. They had a lot in Amsterdam, you know. Remember? The thing is, people think of them as something ancient and no longer worth anything. Yes, those are old, just like the ones in Blackpool. You see, the thing is, cities today all over the world are rethinking about trams because they're pollution-free. They don't get gridlocked, they carry lots of people, and they're more or less silent. They're absolutely fabulous. So you see, your title, Bridge to the Future, is particularly apt. Where did you get it from? As inventive as ever, eh? Anyway, the whole programme, it's about trams. And I am your expert. Go on, ask me anything. Anything you like. Just go for it. Go for it. Today would be good. Why are they called trams? Any question you like. Next question. Come on. Can you drive one? No. Next question. What's the next programme on? Eh? I know. He'd do that a lot, you know. And then sometimes he'd do it with just one hand. He knew my dad, you know. Oh, you're looking for a pub, aren't you? There must have been one around somewhere. Right. History of trams. This is the good stuff. They were in America, horse-drawn trams, and they came over to here in the 1860s, very, very early on. And the reason they were brilliant was simple, really. Before that, we had horses pulling carts with wheels, and if it was wet and muddy and horrible, and you had a lot of weight in the cart, it would sink into the road and become very, very difficult to operate. So you put a tram track down, you can put as much weight on it as you want, and you can almost fall asleep because the horse will eventually drag you home. What? He says he's pulled. Well, how can he? He's the only horse in here. Anyway, they stuck around for about 20 years or so, and then along came the steam tram, but only in areas where there was a ready supply of coal, obviously. And what's she doing? What's she doing? You don't get into this. This isn't where you sat. This was the engine. That's where you sat. You see, this was the cart that got pulled by the engine. That's what they used to look like. Anyway, they messed around with these for quite some time, and they had vacuum pumps, they had pulleys, water, you name it, but they eventually came up with an idea that involved that brand new stuff, electricity, and a cable on the top with an arm that went up and connected to it. And the very first one was in Ramday Park in Leeds. They've got loads of them here. What? It's not smelly. It doesn't. Hey, do you know why the steam carriages always had a top on? Because the sparks from the engine would set your hat on fire. Wow. Listen, trams became big business. Every city had them. They had them all over. London, Manchester, Birmingham, Southampton, Glasgow, you name it. There were trams everywhere. And they've collected lots of them here. I'll tell you what. You get Ethan to do that music-y stuff and show lots of pictures, and I'll meet you over there. I've just spotted a bit of a fib. Sheffield's last tram. Oh, no it isn't. No, it's got nothing to do with Eddie Grant. Okay? The Crouch Tramway Museum, now the National Tramway Museum. And do you know what it's built in? A quarry. It started as a quarry. George Stephenson was a director of that quarry, the George Stephenson. And they had a bit of a surplus in their company of coal. So they thought, if we use the coal to burn limestone, we can make other products. So they started quarrying here, and they pulled out the limestone, put it on tracks, and took it down into the village down there. About 100 or so years later, some enthusiasts came along and thought, what a lovely place to have a tramway museum. There's a white cab here, we'll have to go around it. And no, that is the old Derby Assembly Rooms, which was right in the centre of Derby, and it burnt down. And the council thought, we've got to do something with it because it's a listed building, 200 years old. So they said, we'll build it in Crouch. So they took it down brick by brick and put it up there. Brilliant. This is known as Poplar House because Mrs. Poplar used to live in it. It was probably something like the quarrymaster's house. It's lovely. Yeah, there's a phone box. Why are you so interested in the phone box? You're not interested in the phone box, are you? Oh, it's got the A and B buttons inside it. It's a generator. Brilliant. Yeah, it's a steam generator. You see, in order to run trams, you need electricity. They didn't have electricity on tap here, so they had to make their own. A steam-driven generator, which apparently was rated at 500 volts direct current with an output of 200 kilowatts. So I suppose you already knew all that. So it's DC. Great. Yes, electric traction. Very good. Good job they worked it out a long time before you did. This thing was operating in 1900 in Sheffield. Hey, the nice bit about it is, until 7 years ago, the bottom half of this tram was a garden shed, and the top half was a greenhouse. They found the two and put it back together again. So, you got that vital shot of the tram leaving then, did you? You see, I got something equally vital, which is a return ticket. You've let it go now. Do something constructive. Go and have a look at all the lovely trams and do some artistic pictures. I'll wait for the next. It's a nice one, isn't it? How do they work? Well, it's electric, how do they work?
It's quite simple. The electricity comes down from the overhead through this controller
and through a forward and reverse key and a set of notches that regulates the power into the motors gradually. That makes it go forward. To stop the car, you turn the power off and then just apply the handbrake. And that'll bring the car to a stop.
Absolutely. Well done. You did that very well.
Number 30, quick fixes.
A few inches off the edge of this door should be perfect. A dab of this at either end should do the trick. A couple of screws under here, and this will be as good as new.
There is DIY in our new season, but not with Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. He's much better at cookery. A Cook on the Wild Side, Sundays at 11 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
The new Grattan catalogue is out now, and it's full of fantastic fashion. For your copy, call 0800 313 313. You can spread payments at no extra cost. Order top brand names one day and wear them the next. You even get a big 20% off your first order. So call 0800 313 313 now for your new Grattan catalogue.
To Pippa, the new shirt you just bought could help rescue her from a life of sad neglect. To Molly, your weekly shopping could help bring an end to her suffering. To Jed, the next time you fill your car up with petrol, you could help us find him a happy new home. Because each time you use the RSPCA credit card, you'll be helping animals in need. Call 0800 61 51 61 to apply. It works just like any other credit card, yet every time you use it, Bank of Scotland makes a cash payment to the RSPCA. The RSPCA card has a competitive APR and charges you no annual fee for the first year. And if you use it regularly, you may never need to pay a fee. Call now on 0800 61 51 61 to find out how your spending could make a real difference to animals in need.
The difference was the patent. Bell beat Gray by 4 hours, so Bell is famous, Gray is forgotten. If you have an invention, call 0800-084-085 for your free inventor's kit. That's 0800-084-085 and patent it before someone else does. Be famous like Alexander Graham Bell, not forgotten like Elisha Gray.
Nobody likes someone who never pays their way.
Excuse me, it's my stereo.
I know, could you turn it up a bit? Hey,
No!
don't do that, I was just listening to that.
But if you don't have an up-to-date CD license, that's exactly what you're doing. You're watching while others pay.
Well, spare socket, thank you very much. Cheek!
Would you like a bigger salary, promotion, or maybe a new career? Call ICS now on this number to find out how to improve your prospects by studying at home for those essential qualifications. With ICS, it's so easy and enjoyable. You use the material provided to study in your own time and at your own pace. When you have successfully completed your course, you'll receive a recognized qualification or an ICS diploma as proof of your new skills. All your course material is delivered right to your door. You could learn bookkeeping, child daycare, child psychology, fitness and nutrition, TV, video and hi-fi servicing, PC repair, business management, hotel and catering management, desktop publishing, computer programming, and many, many more. Improve your chances of getting the career you want. Call ICS now free of charge on 0500 30 33 55 for more information. That's 0500 30 33 55.
They prowl the streets in search of houses that others dare not touch.
Doesn't look too bad.
Two men proud of elegance some form. Two men called Steve and Norm.
Hey, Norm. Steve. Onward and upward.
This Old House with Steve and Norm this afternoon at 3:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
This one's a bit special. It's a new one. They bought it for just one Deutschmark. And I'll show you why it's special. Oh, well done. Stopped it single-handedly, didn't you? You are so strong. Now listen, Mr. Universe. How would you get a wheelchair onto a tram like this with a person in it? Eh? Today would be good. No, you don't do it like that. They bought this tram so they could specially fit it with a lift for disabled people. I'm going to knock on this door, because this is the door where all the goodies are hidden behind. Now, can you open it up and show us, please? Thank you very much. Now, the nice thing about this is lots of local firms, medical firms and people like that, they've given quite a lot of the equipment, so it's not cost very much. And it's dead simple. It folds out. I can give you a hand with that, I think. Yeah. Take it down. Now, all we need is a wheelchair with somebody in it. Drew! Okay. Come on, Drew. Get yourself in and we'll show how it works. Brilliant. Isn't that good? So there you go, a lovely little sequence of beautifully restored trams running on this lovely little track. Hey, right, we need to get on to Sheffield now, I suppose. Just a minute, what do you think you're doing? No, you're not going to drive it. And anyway, there's a small matter of the Pennines and overhead power. How do you think you were going to get there? Truth. The Nunnery Tram Depot in Sheffield. How did you get here anyway? You used the little battery in the mobile phone to call for a cab. Well, I hadn't thought of that, I must say. You know, Sheffield has been famous for donkey's years, for making things out of steel. Dirty, great big things and little things that you might have about your person. In fact, empty your pocket, we'll see what you've got, see if there's anything that might be appropriate for Sheffield. A torch, your pocket, protective mask, hammer, soldering iron, a frisbee in your... Gaff, I was thinking more like a retractable rule, something like that, alright? You've got one of those as well. They also do folding umbrellas, and of course famous for the cutlery. Watch you don't get that caught around you. Shall we go and have a look at the trams? Right. Hey, you know we were looking at the old trams before? Well, basically, the driver just set off at the beginning of the day, right? Took the tram out, and then at the end of the day came back with his flask and his sandwiches. And if anything went particularly wrong, don't do that, just leave it. If anything went wrong, he'd maybe make a quick phone call and let the base know. Things have changed somewhat these days. If I get down off here, I'll show you. This is the control centre. They know where every tram is. They can talk to every tram, they can change it, they can move it, they can do all sorts. This is where they talk to the drivers. That's the computer that sorts out the connection with the drivers. This super little machine here shows you where all the trams are, all the different coloured spots, and it updates itself. There you go, it just updates itself there, shows them moving. This is clever. This is urban traffic control. Every city has one of these. This is what controls the traffic lights, but with this system they can override those traffic lights and make sure a tram can get through. Don't.
Thanks for that, Roger.
Another one showing where the trams are. This speaks to the maintenance people, and that big one over there shows the power, so you can turn off any part of the power supply at any time you like. There you go, the control centre. What? You want to drive one? Do you really think these guys would let you do that? What? You can't drive one. I've explained. It's a... Where are you going?
You want to know how it works? Okay. I have to hold down the safety device on the handle and then push it forward, and that gives me power. When I've got enough speed, I bring it back to the middle, that's coast. And backwards is brake, and it's as simple as that. Next stop, Atticliffe. Okay, I'm approaching this tram stop. I'm not going to stop, I'm going to go straight through, so I want that signal in front of me. I press that button now, and then I should get my signal right in front of me to allow me to go. Once the doors have opened, watch everybody getting on and off. When they're all on, and I close the doors. And the beep to warn people the doors are closing.
Yeah, that's right. Utterly fascinating. I presume she didn't let you touch the controls. Good. Howard Turner remembers the old trams. He was there when the last one finished, and he's very much involved in the new ones. So, sad day when they finished.
A very sad day indeed. 8th of October 1960, 20 past 4 in the afternoon, the last one went into Tinsley Depot, pouring rain, watched by thousands of people, and the streets were wet with rain and people's tears, I'm quite sure. Certainly mine.
They burnt them, didn't they?
Yes, as they were taken out of service, sometimes within a matter of a day or two, they carried passengers straight into the scrapyard at Tinsley and burnt. A very sad end. In many cases, new cars, very similar to the badge you see on my lapel.
They were new and they burnt them still?
Yes, they were built between 1950 and 1952, some of the finest by Roberts and Wakefield, and within a matter of 8 years, they were into the scrapyard, irrespective.
So now they're back. Are they the future?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. That the tram, as far as moving large numbers of people safely, pollution-free, quietly, and environmental friendly, people disabled or with wheelchairs, no problem. And every city worth its metal is either putting them in, I'm talking worldwide now, is either putting them down or putting them in, or seriously thinking about it. The costs are enormous, but the benefits at the end of the day are worth it.
And it's an experience, isn't it? It's not
Yes.
a journey.
No, it is an experience, and that is the difference between travelling by bus and travelling by tram. You travel on the bus, you're travelling from A to B, end of story. You travel by tram, it is an experience. You feel more confident, you're safe, there's people around to look after you if need be, and of course mobility around the tram. Yes, it's a very confident feel when you travel by tram.
And it's good, isn't it? Sheffield, you know, is built on 7 hills, just like Rome. Hills, normally a bit of a problem. For these trams, not at all. They shoot up and down them. This hill is 1 in 10, or a 10% gradient, and they fly off it. There you go. The A to Z of trams, done. Finish. Dusted. What? There's the T for tram. Oh, I didn't tell you where the name tram comes from, did I? Well, it comes from the lower Middle German and Dutch word tram with an E on the end, which means shaft of a truck. There you go, that's it. Beam me up. Beam me, you beam me down, so beam me on. Beam me. Do you know, Doctor Who never had this problem, did he, eh? He never had to work with people like you either. He had equipment that worked. He even had a lovely, great long scarf. You could do with one of those in a day like this.
Number 27, wallpapering.
I've already cut this piece to length. Now I'm just going to make sure that every single square inch is covered with paint.
Oh, it's lovely stuff.
When it's on the wall, begin smoothing it in long, broad strokes, making sure that the pattern matches, of course. So, there you have it.
There's lots of DIY in our new season, but not presented by Greg and Max. They're much better in the kitchen. Cookery with Greg and Max, tomorrow at 1 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
The new Look Again catalogue is here, with all the latest fashion. To get yours, call 0800 224 223. There's big brand names, easy interest-free payment, and next day delivery when you just can't wait. So call 0800 224 223 for your Look Again catalogue. Look Again, the big name in fashion.
What's that?
It's called AU.
AU. Oh, you mean gold, don't you?
Yes. But this is a new kind of gold MasterCard. It's different.
What makes it so special?
Well, it's great value for a start. The interest rate's only 13.9%.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And unlike some credit cards, there isn't even an annual fee.
Oh, really?
And there's a special rate. If you transfer your balance from another card, it's just 9.9% for 12 months.
9.9%?
9.9. Of course, not everyone gets AU. Be careful about who qualifies for it.
Can I have one?
Well, that depends.
If you earn at least £20,000 a year, find out if you can enjoy the benefits of an AU Gold MasterCard. AU, will you get it? Call now on 0800 000 197.
This is the National Emergency Alert Service. We interrupt this program to bring you...
Here it comes!
the weather. Weather conditions are becoming more extreme. Be there.
And the house just blew away.
A major new series, Raging Planet. Tuesdays at 9, only on Discovery Channel. Take a journey beyond life as you know it and experience the unexplored.
I feel amazingly frightened and incredibly exhilarated.
Feel the thrill of exploration and push back the boundaries with those who have ventured beyond the map.
My motto is life is adventure or nothing at all.
Beginning in the heart of the Amazon with the stunning new series Untamed Amazonia, the unexplored enters your homes tonight at 8 on Discovery Channel.
Number 5, fishing.
So, let's fish. Oh, and again.
Straight.
And again. Oh, I've got one.
There's lots of fishing in our new season, but not with Russell Harris. He helps to build houses. These 4 walls tomorrow at 2:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Monday afternoon on Discovery Home and Leisure with This Old House.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas. Welcome to This Old House. One of the unfortunate realities of living in the 20th century is the ubiquitous spray can, which makes it possible for vandals to spray their initials everywhere. And what they've chosen here is a lovely outcropping of what they call Roxbury pudding stone. Now you can see how complicated this surface is. And at first I thought we could try some chemical cleaning agents, but then I thought it would be very difficult to wire brush all these little crevices. So we went the sandblasting route. Now, we had a portable air compressor out at the shop, and this is the unit that simply compresses air, sends it through this hose here to this nozzle. And I suppose one could rent this apparatus at a tool rental place. Now, the second component to the system is sand. They also call it shot, and it's specially prepared and washed, and it's available at building products centers. Now the shot gets sucked through this second hose here and squirted at high velocity at the work. It takes a little while, but it's a lot better than using a chemical agent that would spread toxins all over the street. Let's see how it works. You really have to cover up because this stuff flies all over the place. Well, I'd say it's limited success. I blasted all the paint off, but the wizard still lives. Looks like the rock is so clean that you can still read the legend even though there's no paint on it. Maybe it'll weather in. Well, meanwhile, let's check in with Norm. He's up on the 3rd floor. I continue to be impressed with the progress Abel Lopes and his crew are making inside the building. The walls in the hallway here have been patched and primed, and elsewhere, the trim is being reinstalled. Now, we didn't have enough of this old trim for the whole building, all 3 flats. So what we decided to do was to try to make some ourselves. Hey, Norm. Hey. This stuff looks old. It's actually brand new. Now, you'd think it'd be hard to make. It actually is not. The other day I was out at the workshop and Norm gave me a lesson on how to make the trim here and the rosettes. Well, I guess the first question I have, Norm, is why bother run your own molding?
Well, Steve, here's a piece of the original molding from the house, probably made in a mill workshop with a special set of knives that are either worn out or long gone. And, you know, the moldings that are available off the shelf today are nothing like this. They're not very appropriate. Now, we could go back to the mill workshop and they could cut some knives to run stock for us, but it's expensive.
And it's kind of a bother, too.
That's right. But if you have a table saw and a molding head cutter, you can make your own, and I think we should show the viewers how to do that.
Well, you've been experimenting with different designs.
Yeah, here's a couple pieces that we ran off. This one is sort of like a stop bead with a tapered middle, and this one is a triple bead with a tapered middle.
So what was the consensus around the shop?
Well, the consensus is that this is the favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite, too.
Yeah.
Now, you've chosen poplar for your stock here. Why is that?
So, well, we could use poplar or cedar or D-select pine, and they're all about the same in price, but I think the poplar mills much better, and it certainly takes paint great.
Okay. Well, let's see how you do it.
All right, well, over here is the molding head cutter in the table saw. And you can see it's just a cast wheel. And this one has 3 cutting knives. Some manufacturers make them with 1 cutting knife. I like 3 because it's safer and it gives you a much smoother cut. When you buy it, it comes in a case usually like this with several other profiles of cutting knives.
So these knives just bolt right into the main body there, right?
That's right, they're held with a set screw, and you can buy additional styles.
So how much does this cost, this setup?
About $50, you can buy a pretty good one.
So you can really turn your table saw into a machine shop.
For $50, you can make hundreds of feet of molding. So we're just about ready to start running. I'm going to put the insert back in, and I'm going to use my piece, my sample piece, to set the fence. And after we get it set, we'll plug the saw back in and run a sample. Okay, I'm going to plug her back in and run a sample. Check that out. Oh, obviously it's not quite deep enough. We got the bead, but we don't have this little edge. So we'll set it a little deeper. Okay, let's try that. Just a hair deeper and we'll be ready to go. All right, but one more thing I want to do is set this in place.
I noticed that earlier. What is that?
Well, you know, normally you use feather bullets. And they're real important when you do milling like this because you want to hold the stock against the fence and down on the table. This was sent to us by a viewer. It has a magnet on the bottom and these little plastic flaps which hold the wood in place. So I'm just sliding it over. Yeah, it's great. Okay, let's run the sample through again. Now to get the bead on this side, I just turn it around. Now I've just changed to these straight cutters, and that will help me remove the material in the center of the casing, lowering it, and also beveling it slightly, a little pitch on there. So we'll put our recess back in, and I've tilted the blade to about 5 degrees. Plug it back in and run a sample. That's pretty good. All right, let's run them through. Okay. The last thing we want to do is relieve the back, and that is to remove a little bit of material in the middle, just leaving a high spot at each edge. I'm using the same flat cutter as I was using before, and by making several passes I can clear that out. What that means is that the casing will fit flatter on the wall, and that little ear space in the back will also help it from warping, stop it from warping.
Now, how do you suppose they made these rosettes originally, 100 years ago?
Well, they probably did one of two things. They might have had a single bit that they could use in much like an overarm router and just plunge it into the wood to cut the whole profile at once. Or since sometimes there's a hole in the back like this one, they might have been individually turned on a lathe.
So how are you going to make yours?
Well, I'm actually going to use a router, but here's a sample that I made. Here's our casing. And it's real simple, just 2 passes.
Yeah, it looks great.
And what I did to make that is first make some templates made out of 3/4-inch plywood and some cleats on the back. And combined with the router, which I've set up with this collar and a round nose bit, now I'll run the collar around the inside of the circle and we'll just plunge the bit into the block the depth we want.
So it's a plunge router.
That's right. Now the stock that I'm using for the block is actually 5/4 stock. It's still poplar, but it's 1 inch thick.
Oh, I see. So that allows the rosette to stand proud of the casing and give you a nice shadow line there.
Yeah, and that's important. So all I have to do is slip the blank inside the template, flip it over, clamp it in the bench vise, and run the router around, cutting the small pattern first. That's the first pass.
And now you just switch to your larger circle.
And I'm going to switch to the largest circle and decrease the depth of the plunge and make the second pass. Well, Steve, a little bit of sandpaper, maybe bevel the edges and paint it. What do you think?
I think you're going to get away with it, Norm. And that's all it takes to make these lovely casings. Now let's see them go on. Hey, Norm, could you give us a textbook lesson on how to case a window?
Okay, on a window like this, the first thing that I do is install the window stool, this piece right here. And there's a couple things you have to pay attention to when you dimension it. First, for the width, you want to make sure that you take into account the thickness of your casing in front of the plaster, and then add about 3/4 of an inch. You don't want it like that, just a little bit hanging over. And you don't want a lot hanging over because it might break off. Now also, when you determine the length, you want to account for the fact you're going to hold the casing back and reveal it. You don't want it flush like that. And then you add about 3/4 of an inch.
So proportions are really important.
They are.
What's next?
The next thing to do is to put these pieces on. The 2 sides and the top, they're actually extension jambs that come from the replacement window out to the face of the plaster.
Okay, those are all in, and then what?
Then you want to cut your casings to length. And all the casing stock is determined by the placement of this rosette. I like to place the corner of the rosette right even at the extension jamb. That way when I reveal my casing by 1/4 of an inch, I end up with 1/4 of an inch on the other side of the rosette.
So the casing is the same length as the extension jamb.
That's right. So the side casings are cut and they're ready to be nailed in place.
And using 8 or 10 penny pinching nails?
8 pennies should be enough to get for the studs.
Well, those are the side casings, Norm. Now for the rosettes. And I noticed you pre-drilled them.
Yeah, this is a small piece of wood, and I'm using a little longer and thicker nail because of the thickness, and I don't want it to split. Okay, Steve, hand me that head casing.
Oh, I see. You put the head casing on, and then you can fit the other rosette to it.
Yeah, I'll get a nice tight joint. Okay.
Looks good, Norm. Now just one more piece to go on, the apron, down below.
That's right.
Now the apron stock is just casing that's ripped down, what, 1.5 inches?
That's right. Now on the end of the apron, to give it a nice finished detail, I miter it back on itself. Just glue the small piece in place.
Yeah, it looks good, Norm.
Thanks.
And it really makes me feel good to know that Hazel and the other families that will live here will have such nice space at an affordable price.
The challenge. Transform an empty room into a period room in 8 hours.
Right then, we better get going.
We need a range, sink, flooring. Now, I like this list. You're ticking things off.
Annabelle Giles is your host.
There's an hour to go, and there's nobody here.
For Period Rooms, Sundays at 12:30 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Just because some little pipsqueak says that we got to do something, it's all yes or no, sir. 3 bags full. I'm sick. I've had enough to hear, honestly.
It's just like amazing. It just does my head in. You know, I think he's brilliant. I just think that's so romantic, and he's so cute. He's so cute.
It's the same old rubbish, right? And it's typical of the way that we're going forward on this. And I just want to stop it now and say, look what you're doing.
Talk radio. There's a good argument for listening.
I don't know about you, but I have to have flavours. And this electric steamer from Tefal gives me just that. It's one of the easiest ways to cook just about anything. Just add the food and water. It's as easy, simple, and tasty as that. Steam cuisine. It'll suit you to a Tefal.
The new Grattan catalogue is out now, and it's full of fantastic fashion. For your copy, call 0800 313 313. You can spread payments at no extra cost. Order top brand names one day and wear them the next. You even get a big 20% off your first order. So call 0800 313 313 now for your new Grattan catalogue.
Approaching accident. Please alert the necessary emergency services. I'm just sound.
Please go over to the verge. Try not to move. More help will be here soon.
AA patrols are specially trained to assist in on-the-road emergencies. It's not surprising that 2 of our members and their families were the 4th Emergency Service.
Yes, officer. This woman here may need some attention. Now, when you're ready, I'll help get these vehicles off the road.
Morning.
Morning, Dad.
Oh, yeah, I must sort out that loan. But I can't get to the bank.
Hello! There's a more convenient way to get an unsecured personal loan. Call Lombard Direct, free on 0800 215,000. 24 hours a day.
And what's more, there's now a special 1% discount off the APR on loans of £5,000 and over.
One call to Lombard Direct, and you're laughing.
To arrange a loan or for more information, call now, free on 0800 215,000.
Life can be intensive on your skin. Cold roughens it. Wind blasts it. Water dries it out. Your skin can become dry like an arid landscape. Vaseline Intensive Care works intensively to fight dryness and so put the life back. Vaseline Intensive Care.
If you've been hurt in an accident in the last 3 years and it was someone else's fault, you could be entitled to compensation. Our specialist solicitors helped Kirsty Tagg after a car accident. She got £8,000. Eric Pollock called us after a bad fall at work. He got £6,000. Call the National Accident Helpline on 0800 556 557 to find out free if you can claim. Call 0800 556 557.
Number 3, changing a fuse.
Folks, we've lost the light, so give me a moment to get this fuse in the right slot, and yibbity up, we'll be up and running.
Fortunately, Rex stays away from the fuse box and sticks to what he knows best. Rex Hunt's Fishing Adventures, tomorrow at 11 on Discovery Home and Leisure.
Here in Japan, the dream of owning one's own home is just that. Oh, a dream. Most families live near one of the major urban centers, where land is expensive and scarce. And so they live in a large apartment complex, such as this. I'm told that about 350 families live here, each in an apartment of only 650 square feet. Let's go see what that feels like.
We're here on the 10th floor of the apartment building in the Matsubara's apartment. First thing I do, of course, is kick off my shoes. It's tradition. Also traditional is this small alcove, which in most homes in Japan contains a piece of sculpture and flowers to greet the visitor. And what's this? Ah, yes, the bathroom. Bath is always separated from the toilet facilities. It's a place where you can soak, relax after the day. Small washing machine, and also a sink. And back out here into the main hallway. And this is the daughter's room. Again, quite a small bedroom. Got a bed here, got an organ, full-size desk, many books. Not room for another book or record, but extremely efficiently organized. And again into the main hall. And this is a toilet, the only one in the house. The kitchen. Hajimemashite, Katsubara-san. Thank you. And the small, very efficient galley kitchen. Just a 2-burner range over there. And no oven. And the dishes are washed here in the sink and then dried in this pink dish dryer here, really. And the Matsubara daughter and 2 of her friends. They've all come to visit. Now this is the master bedroom. It's covered on the floor with tatami mats, and the smell in here is quite wonderful. The futon, or bedding, is contained here in these closets and then brought out every night. And what's this? This, I guess you could call a parlor. It's really a formal room where guests are entertained and where the precious family objects are kept. Very nice, but for a Westerner such as myself, an American, quite small. We're used to much more space. Then out into the dining room. And here behind these screens is a little boy's room. Hi guys. He's got a friend with him. And out on the veranda here, the garden. Now this apartment is 650 square feet, and it rents for $600 a month. The family is saving for a home of their own. And when the Matsubaras do decide to buy, they may well come to a place like this, kind of a shopping park, where many different housing manufacturers display their wares. This one, for example, is what they call panelized construction, which means that structural steel panels are fitted out in the factory, inside and out, trucked to the site, tipped up and bolted into place. Goes for about $71 a square foot. The next one in line is a nicer house, bigger, and also more expensive. At $122 a square foot, it's also panelized construction. This one over here is the most expensive house on the block. $130 a square foot because it's stick-built, just the way Tom Silva and Norm Abram would build them back home. Good-looking house. But what I brought you here to see was this one. It's what they call modular, which means that steel boxes, 22 of them in this case, are built in the factory, fitted out inside and out, trucked to the site, and stacked in place. It all goes up in just 6 hours, and it costs $85 a square foot. Let's see what that buys us. Lots of shoes anyway. Guess that's a good sign because it means a lot of potential customers. I like this entryway though. Spacious. Space. And I don't see any joints between modules. Hard to believe it was built in a factory and trucked across the road. Living room. Boy, it looks like a custom house in Dallas or Wichita, Kansas. I find myself just walking right over to this door here because it floods the room with light. And I guess it's just a single thickness of glass, but we're in southern Japan where it stays pretty warm, so thermal glass is not necessary. Over here, I think this is a very good idea. Land is very tight, and your neighbor is apt to be 3 feet away. A window might present a problem. So here you have light and ventilation in this skylight module. Another door up to a veranda, dining area, and the kitchen. Very nice. Again, the same skylight module back here. Yeah. Very light. And I like this window too. Opens up, gets some ventilation, floods the counter with light, makes the room seem much wider than it actually is. Well, look at this. We've seen this before in Pittsfield, in the House of the Future. It is a high-tech pantry. This sliding unit fits into the crawl space down below the floor, and you can store vegetables and so on in there. A root cellar. Good idea. They say that this is very cheap and extremely popular, as you would expect. Now, I keep looking around for cheater strips and places where they put the different sections of this building together, and I just can't find them. I see real nice wall coverings, high quality, nicely done. The wall is sound, feels like a plaster wall. The materials are all quite nice. This appears to be high-pressure laminate. Pretty good hardware on the doors. In here, a half bath, what we would call a half bath. Nice vanity here with some integrated storage. Not bad. I could live with this. Now in here, I guess this is set up as a sewing room, or you could use it as a home office. Lots of light, and really lots of space. Laundry sink. That's very handy to have. Yeah, okay. Washing machine in this area here, and 2 sinks. Now, I was a bit surprised to find so much plumbing here on the first floor where there are no bedrooms. And so I asked our host, and he said, it's traditional to have the bath here on the first floor. And this room is a large bathroom. Deep bath for soaking. Windows again. Maybe a little garden out there. And the thing that surprised me about it is that it was built in a factory and just dropped into the final building. Astonishing. Well, just here off the main hall is the Japanese room. The largest room of the house. And while it can be partitioned off by these sliding screens, it contains no posts and no beams. It's free span in a very large room. Also contains a picture alcove. This is a big one. Remember the little one we just saw in the apartment we were in? And on the floor, instead of wall-to-wall carpeting or hardwood, we've got these woven straw mats. They're kept very clean, and that's why the Japanese take off their shoes. Out here, a veranda with a view of the garden. Next time, I thought it would be fun to go to the factory where they build these houses, and then we'll go out into the country and see one go up.
Wait a minute, Steve. You mean you tell me I have to wait till next week before I get to see the factory?
Right so, Norm. Dylan, I'm Steve Thomas.
I'm Norm Abram.
For this old house.
Coming up next, a visit to Salvador, the colonial capital of the Brazilian state of Bahia, in Lonely Planet.